Lin Feng, Article 732 of the Imperial Penal Code. Persons with substandard mental power are prohibited from participating in core family affairs. Not only have you violated the statute, you have also openly defied a direct line elder. Your crimes are compounded. Sentence hereby pronounced. Stripped of your status as a collateral branch member of the Lin clan. Exiled to planet D-001, never to be recalled. Cold mechanical echoes reverberated inside the cramped exile pod. Leaning against the metal bulkhead, Lin Feng stared up at the flickering red warning light overhead. Two sets of memories collided violently inside his mind. One belonged to Lin Feng, an outstanding graduate from Earth University of Agriculture. He remembered his graduation thesis, research on breeding drought-resistant winter wheat varieties for the North China Plain. He remembered the farewell dinner his supervisor had treated him to, fatty yet tender braised pork and plump, distinct grains of steamed rice. The other belonged to the original owner of this body, a low-rank youth from the 17th collateral branch of the Lin clan, rated F, in mental power. For 18 years he had been treated like a dog by the direct line descendants. Finally, he could not hold back and talked back at a banquet. The next day he was stuffed straight into an exile pod. Heh. Lin Feng tugged at the corner of his mouth. 2 lives, and he ended up at the bottom of society both times. Fate really did have terrible aim. But he glanced down at the tattered identity band on his wrist. Destination information scrolled across its surface. D-001 Earth, Imperial label, uninhabitable, a resource-depleted, abandoned planet. Earth? He was being exiled to Earth. The exile pod shuddered violently. High-temperature friction with the atmosphere made the hull wail with a shrill metallic screech. Damn it, the safety harness squeezed his insides, churning his organs. Bang! The pod crashed onto the ground, bouncing twice before coming to a halt. The hatch popped open at once. A gust of air carrying soil and grass fragrance flooded inward. Lin Feng froze. That scent, he tore free of his restraints and stumbled out of the pod. Stretching out before him lay a desolate, yet familiar landscape. Rolling hills rose in the distance. Up close, wild grass overran the plains. The sky above was hazy gray, yet it was unquestionably real sky. Not a ship's dome. Not a space station hologram projection. Genuine sky. Damn, it really is Earth. Why had Earth become an abandoned planet? Where were all the Earthborn humans? Questions piled up, yet Lin Feng had no answers. He squatted down, grabbed a handful of soil, and rubbed it between his fingers. Sandy loam. Good permeability. Organic content, not too bad. His professional instincts kicked in. Right then, an electronic voice exploded inside his head. Ding. Host has arrived at the ancestral home planet, Earth. Interstellar Agrarian System activating. Activation complete. Welcome to the Interstellar Agrarian System, host. Objective, revive the lost agricultural civilization. New user gift pack issued. Please claim. Lin Feng blinked. A system? So this was his golden finger. Mentally, he opened the new user gift pack. Streams of information flooded his consciousness. Contents of new user gift pack. Basic farm tools set ×1 hoe, spade, water bucket and more. Basic seed packet ×1 tomato seeds ×50, cucumber seeds ×50. Elementary livestock raising manual ×1. Soil improvement solution ×1 bottle can convert 1 mu of barren land into fertile soil. Excitement welled up inside Lin Feng. He flopped backward onto soft grass and laughed aloud toward the murky sky. Heaven, you sent me 100 million years into the future, dumped me back onto Earth, and handed me farming supplies on top of that. Fine. I get it. It's just farming. 4 years of undergrad plus 3 years of postgraduate study. I spent 7 years out in farm plots. You give me a bag of seeds, that is already enough. And you throw in all these extras? He sat up, brushed dirt off his trousers, and scanned his surroundings. Memories of the original owner told him exiles were left to die on exile worlds. From everything he knew, people of this era survived entirely on nutrient paste. No rations, no rescue. The identity band kept monitoring vital signs until the signal flatlined, meaning death. That applied to ordinary exiles. For someone with full-fledged agricultural expertise, plus a system cheat code, this was not exile. This was coming home. Find a water source first, then prepare the soil. Get the first batch of seeds into the ground before nightfall. Lin Feng muttered to himself. Professional reflexes kicked in immediately. A system prompt popped up. Notice, Livestream module built into host's identity band has activated automatically standard equipment for exiles, meant for Imperial citizens to view as deterrence education. Current viewer count, 0. A livestream? Lin Feng raised an eyebrow, hardly bothered. Who would watch an exile's livestream? At most, some bored Imperial citizen might click in, watching an exile perish on a desolate planet for cheap entertainment. He had no time to spare for spectators. He poured out the soil improvement solution. The acre of ground beneath his eyes visibly darkened and loosened, releasing rich, earthy aroma. Lin Feng drew a deep breath, grabbed his hoe, and got to work. Far away, at Lin Clan headquarters on Skyvault Star, a young man sipped nutrient paste while casually scrolling through today's processed list of trash cases. Lin Hao scrolled past Lin Feng's name and curled his lips. D001. That dreadful rock where no exile lasts more than 3 months? He took a sip of nutrient paste and swiped the page away. A useless F-grade waste. Dying on a garbage planet is only natural. Back on planet D001, Lin Feng had dug his first furrow. He placed cucumber seeds one by one into the soil, movements precise and practiced. Another system notification popped up. Notice, livestream viewer count updated, 10. Lin Feng glanced skyward and muttered, "Oh, audience has arrived." He did not stop working and kept covering the seeds with soil. Haha, isn't this Lin Clan's good-for-nothing Lin Feng? Mental power rank F. Worse than the clan's hounds. Planet D001. Isn't that a garbage planet with radiation 300 times over the safety limit? He won't survive 2 hours. Place your bets. I say he starts vomiting blood in 15 minutes. The exile order was personally approved by young Master Lin Hao. TSK, this is what happens when you offend direct line family members. 15 minutes passed. Lin Feng was perfectly fine, still earnestly turning soil. The comments section fell dumb. Is this D001? Where is the supposed radiation-ravaged wasteland? Is the feed glitching? What garbage planet looks like this? Lin Feng noticed the scrolling comments and smirked. These city-dwelling folk really were ridiculous. More comments poured in. He is smiling. Has radiation rotted his brain already? Sad. An F-grade waste does not even know to fear death. Don't go away, everyone. We will watch his skin fester any moment now. Lin Feng glanced at the floating livestream panel. More than 100 people waited to watch him die. Very well. He would show them something different. He walked toward the river. The water was crystal clear, pebbles and water weeds visible on the riverbed. He crouched down, cupped water in both hands, and drank straight from his palms. The comment section exploded. Good heavens. He is drinking unprocessed local water from this planet. This is terrible. D-class planet water contains excessive heavy metals and unknown pathogens. Any medical specialists online? How long has he got left? Where are the moderators? He is committing suicide. Isn't this against platform rules? Lin Feng wiped his mouth and burped softly. Untainted spring water tasted wonderful, crisp with mineral notes, better than any bottled water he had drunk in his previous life. The flood of warning and alarm messages kept scrolling. He saw no point explaining. Explain what? Tell these people who had subsisted on nutrient paste for thousands of years that this water was good enough to brew tea? They would never understand. Lin Feng walked along the riverbank for roughly 10 minutes. His eyes landed on a thicket of bushes. Round, plump red fruits hung heavy on the branches, glistening attractively under sunlight. Tomatoes? Wild tomatoes? What luck! He plucked one and wiped it against his shirt. The tone in the comment feed shifted completely. What is that? That red spherical object? Livestream system identification, D3 highly toxic berry. No, he is not about to eat it, is he? Stop right there, streamer. Its toxin can dissolve your esophagus in 3 seconds. Somebody get the moderators. He is genuinely trying to kill himself. Viewer numbers kept climbing. 1,000. 2,000. Every viewer was screaming warnings. Ignoring the flood of messages, Lin Feng lifted the tomato and took a large bite. Juice burst across his mouth. Sweet-sour flavors bloomed across his tongue. Fleshy, grainy texture crushed against his taste buds. He closed his eyes and let out a satisfied sigh. It had been far too long. His very first genuine meal since crossing worlds, a tomato. Perfect. For 3 full seconds the live stream fell dead silent. Viewer count broke 10,000. He is still alive? 3 seconds. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. He hasn't dropped dead. Impossible. The toxicity report for D3 berries. Wait a second. Look at his face. He looks happy. Holy hell. Is the sense sync function turned on? I swear I just smelled something. Sense sync. Lin Feng had nearly forgotten about that feature. Interstellar Exile live streams supported full sensory sync technology. Originally designed to let viewers experience the horrors of exile worlds, acrid sulfur fumes, rot stench, as a deterrent against lawbreaking. But now what streamed through was the sweet, tangy aroma of tomato juice. Thousands of star system citizens who had never smelled actual food their entire lives received that signal all at once. The comment section transformed entirely. What is that smell? Good heavens, what is this smell? There is something in my nose. I cannot describe it. Yet I want to cry. Nutrient paste has never had anything like this. I do not even have words. More. Give us more. Have another bite, streamer. Please. Lin Feng bit the tomato again. Juice ran down his jaw, which he wiped casually with the back of his hand. Viewer count, 20,000, still rising. A new system alert popped up, collecting emotional energy. Current haul, 10,247 units shock, 893 units confusion, 10,156 units longing. Total, 21,296 units. Energy pool, 1%. May unlock new crop varieties and new technologies. Emotional surges from over 20,000 people fed straight into system energy. Lin Feng stuffed the rest of the tomato into his mouth, chewed and swallowed, then clapped dust off his hands. He looked toward the camera and wore a cheeky grin. Since everyone is here, let me show you something even more striking. He turned and walked toward riverside tall grass. He had noticed fresh round pellet-shaped droppings there 5 minutes earlier, about the size of soybeans. Hair droppings. Lin Feng squatted beside the grass, holding a sharpened wooden stick. The system farm tool kit had hoes and spades, but no hunting gear. That was fine. Back in university field internships alongside his supervisor, building primitive traps had been basic practical knowledge. 3 sticks plus vines torn from the riverbank. 5 minutes later, a simple snare trap was finished. Viewers watching had no clue what he was doing. He is fiddling with sticks? Symptoms of radiation-induced psychosis. Maybe building shelter, although that structure makes 0 sense. Honestly, he survived eating a lethal berry already. This whole person defies logic. Paying no mind to comments, Lin Feng set the trap, crushed fallen wild fruit, and scattered pulp as bait inside the snare loop. Then he stepped back, leaned against a tree, and feigned sleep. 15 minutes passed. A soft thud, followed by frantic animal thrashing. Lin Feng opened his eyes at once and walked over. A gray-brown hare struggled violently inside the snare, its hind legs tightly bound by vine. Haha, nice plump specimen. Lin Feng hefted it. Estimated weight, over 3 gene. He carried the hare back into camera view with one hand. The audience was stunned. That is a Kreis hare. Good grief. There is a wild Kreis hare population on planet D001. It's adorable. Look at its lovely fur. It is terrified. Ugh, streamer, let it go. Wait, what is he planning to do with it? Across interstellar civilization, animals existed purely as pets, genetically optimized, carefully reared companion creatures. Purebred juvenile Kreis hares ranked among the Empire's top 10 popular pets, selling for over 50,000 star coins each. Lin Feng carried the hare down to the river. He pulled out a utility knife included with the survival handbook from his system toolset. Unease spread through the comment feed. What is he doing with a knife? He must be treating its injuries. The vine hurt it. Right, that has to be it. Without hesitation, Lin Feng moved. One clean, decisive stroke. The hare stopped struggling. Complete, utter silence descended over the live stream. Viewers could not believe what they had just witnessed. Then tens of thousands of comments flooded in all at once. Ahawk. He killed it. He killed a Kreis hare. Monster. Murderer. Beast. I am reporting this. Cruelty toward companion animals is a Class A criminal offense. Ugh, I saw blood. I feel sick, moderators. Shut down this stream. Viewer numbers kept climbing instead of dropping. 30,000. 40,000. 100,000. People screamed, monster, yet they could not tear their eyes away. Lin Feng stayed perfectly calm. He cleaned, skinned, and gutted the hare in river water with fluid, practiced motions. During university farm internships, students prepared their own meals. Butchering chickens and rabbits was basic skill. He could do it blindfolded. Comments shifted from horror into strange fascination. I know I should be furious, yet I cannot look away. His movements are so smooth. Is this really an F-grade waste? Does anyone else think he knows exactly what he is doing? Once the hare was dressed, Lin Feng found flat, open ground by the river. He gathered dry twigs and dead leaves, stacking them into a standard well-shaped firelay. He took his utility knife and searched for iron-rich stones abundant on the river shore. Striking stone against knife blade, sparks showered onto dry dead leaves. Thin wispy smoke rose quickly. He leaned forward and blew gently onto the tinder. Flames burst to life. Chaos returned to the comment section. What is that? I checked ancient archives, combustion reaction. But how can he make fire just with stones? Do you smell it? Sense sink, something burning, wood? That is wood smoke. Lin Feng whittled 2 sturdy wooden branches to use as roasting spits. and set the prepared hare over the flames. Fat dripped onto fire, sizzling. White smoke curled upward. The sensing system performed its duty faithfully. A rich roasted meat aroma traveled through the hologram feed straight to 100,000 terminals. For a moment, interstellar internet fell utterly quiet. Then came one collective sound across countless viewers, swallowing. 100,000 people swallowed while staring at their hologram screens. They had no idea why their bodies reacted like this. They had lived entirely on nutrient paste their whole lives and never eaten real food. Yet instincts dormant in their genes for thousands of years stirred awake. What scent is this? My God, what is this scent? I am salivating. I cannot stop myself. I have never felt like this before. I look at my nutrient paste in hand, and suddenly it disgusts me. I want to cry. I do not know why, yet tears threaten. Please, streamer, let me taste just a bite. I will pay any price. Lin Feng rotated the roasting hare. Its skin turned golden brown, glistening with rendered fat. Numbers on his system panel rocketed. Collecting emotional energy, longing, 93,832 units, shock, 8,156 units, admiration, 12893 units. Energy pool, 3%, 4%, 10%. Emotions from over 100,000 people filled 1/10 of his system energy pool. The hare was fully cooked. Lin Feng tore off a hind leg, faced the camera, and bit down. Crisp outer surface, tender juicy meat. Firm hare flesh carried faint herbal notes. He ate heartily, cheeks stuffed, grease smudging around his mouth. No performance, just a hungry man enjoying a long-awaited meal. Insults, reports, and panic vanished from the comment feed entirely. In their place rolled wall-upon-wall messages. I want to eat that too. How can I travel to that planet? Streamer, do you need extra hands? I will do any work. 100,000 star coins. Streamer, will you sell that leg? 100,000 star coins. Lin Feng finished the hare leg, leaned against a tree, and burped. Pure comfort. After crossing worlds, he had finally eaten meat. Warm satisfaction spread outwards from his stomach. Glancing across comments, he spotted the 100,000 star coin offer and raised an eyebrow. 100,000 for one hare leg? Were these interstellar wealthy folk serious? He looked up toward the hovering livestream drone and smiled lazily. That wraps up today's stream. He lifted the remaining half, roasted hare, toward the lens. Want to know what this really tastes like? Same time tomorrow. I am going to teach you how to make a dish erased from your history textbooks thousands of years ago. The comment section went wild. Don't stop. Don't end the stream. Stay. Tomorrow when exactly? Give us a concrete time. Just as Lin Feng prepared to terminate broadcast, comment trends shifted abruptly. Look. Mr. Li has arrived. Mr. Li? Li Xinghe? The Empire's richest man. It really is him. For real. Holy heck. The richest man is in the same stream as me. Li Xinghe posted a message in the comment section. I offer a bounty of 1 billion star coins for one of your hare legs. The comment section went wild instantly. My God, as expected of the richest man. He bids 1 billion star credits right off the bat. The viewer who previously offered 100,000 for a rabbit leg was utterly distraught. Ugh, even the richest man is competing against us. That's 1 billion. Lin Feng was equally stunned. 1 billion for one rabbit leg, truly extravagant. But then, a mischievous grin spread across Lin Feng's face. Time to show them what hunger marketing really is. He shut down the livestream panel. Peace returned. He glanced at the system panel's energy reservoir. Energy was surging upward at a rapid pace. Almost entirely negative emotions. Closing the stream had worked wonders. Negative emotions could be converted into emotional energy. The more viewers there were and the stronger their feelings, the more energy he gained. It formed a positive feedback loop. He could grow more crops, make better tasting food, draw bigger audiences, harvest more energy, and unlock more powerful functions. This system is pretty well designed, he commented. Nice, quite an interesting experience. Lin Feng had once worried how he would survive on an alien planet. Unexpectedly, he had landed right in his comfort zone. He turned the leftover rabbit meat into smoked meat for long-term storage. Nearby, he found a natural cave to serve as temporary shelter. Using the tools provided by the system, he reinforced it simply and laid dry grass for bedding. Conditions were crude, yet far better than the tents he had lived in during field experiments in northwest China. While pursuing his master's degree, his makeshift home was ready, his stomach full. At last, he could get a solid night's sleep. He fell fast asleep. Meanwhile, the entire empire lay awake. 7 minutes after Lin Feng ended the stream, the screenshot of Li Xinghe's 1 billion star credit bid for a rabbit leg shot straight to number 1 on the Empire's overall hot search list. By the 12th minute, more than 20 related trending topics had emerged. 30 minutes later, the Empire's 3 major mainstream media released simultaneous breaking news alerts. Their headlines were largely identical. Empire's richest man Li Xinghe offers 1 billion star credits for a single roasted rabbit leg. The exile on desolate planet D-001 overnight surpasses 90% of Imperial citizens in perceived value. Can you smell it? What exactly is that aroma? Play counts for the livestream replay surged by millions every second. Clips of Lin Feng biting into a tomato spread wildly across social media with sensational captions. Shocking. Exile consumes suspected toxic plant. He's still alive? I've rewatched this 300 times, and I keep salivating. Am I losing my mind? Footage of the roasted rabbit was looped so many times that servers nearly crashed. Full sensory synchronization had become the Empire's greatest form of torment. You could smell it, yet you could never taste it. A brand new emotional hashtag swept Imperial social media. Hashtag I hate nutrient paste. Within 3 hours, 20 million people set reminders for Lin Feng's livestream. Emergency midnight meeting at the main residence of the Lin clan. 12 core direct family members sat around a circular conference table. Holographic screens scrolled through public opinion statistics. No one spoke. The atmosphere was icy. Lin Hao stood in the corner, his face ashen. He had been the main advocate for exiling Lin Feng. His reasoning had seemed solid at the time. A useless F-rank psychic who had defied senior clan members should be dumped on a desolate planet to fend for himself, leaving no trace behind. Now the fallout was smacking him full force in the face. Bring him back, someone spoke up. Keep him under control and make him work for the clan. How? The clan patriarch's emotionless voice came from the main seat. The exile order is filed with the Imperial Judiciary, and the entire process was live-streamed. 50 billion pairs of eyes are watching. Are you going to march over and abduct him? The man fell silent. The patriarch turned toward Lin Hao. You set this in motion. What is your proposal? Lin Hao clenched his fists tightly. What could he possibly propose? A supposedly worthless F-rank exile was out on a desolate planet, hunting rabbits and roasting meat in high spirits. None of this made sense. He must have found some ancient relic on that planet. He cannot possibly possess such abilities on his own, Lin Hao insisted. External forces are at play. Once public fervor fades, he will not survive long out there. The patriarch gave no reply. The meeting adjourned without reaching any resolution. The Lin clan chose to wait and observe. Little did they know that this choice cost them their only chance to resolve the situation at minimal cost. Lin Feng knew nothing of these developments. He slept well past sunrise. Sunlight streamed into the cave, blinding him. He rolled over and mumbled 5 more minutes, but his stomach rumbled loudly. Physical need won out. He walked to the cave mouth, tore a strip of smoked rabbit meat from where it hung, squatted beside the stream, and ate it plain with water. After drying overnight, the smoked meat had formed a thin, firm crust on the surface. Inside, the meat was tender and chewy, heavy with smoky aroma. It was no gourmet feast, yet more than enough to fill his belly. The system panel automatically displayed statistics collected overnight from livestream replays. Offline overnight emotional energy harvest source. Livestream replays. Craving. 1,287,432 units anxiety. 892,001 units anger caused by stream closure. 2,104,889 units energy reservoir. 43% current follower count. 21,470,000. Whoa. Lin Feng stared at the numbers, genuinely surprised. He had still underestimated how fast online buzz spread. Chewing the meat strip, he muttered, "Impressive." He quickly composed himself. He had far more important things to do today. Crouching, he scanned his surroundings and considered his next move. This cave was poorly situated. It was too shallow and faced the prevailing wind. He had shivered through the late hours of last night. Worse still, its low, lying position meant floodwater from the stream could submerge the cave after heavy rain. He needed a proper place to build a house. The instant the thought crossed his mind, the system panel lit up. New beginner quest. Secure a home, construct a safe dwelling. Requirements. Shelter from wind and rain. Defense against wild animals. Dedicated food storage space. Reward. Blueprint pack for basic construction. Iron axe times 1 time limit. 7 days. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. A construction blueprint pack? That meant access to more advanced building plans in the future. Perfect. He stuffed the last bite of meat into his mouth, clapped dust off his hands, and stood. Let's get down to business. What about the live stream? He glanced at the drone hovering overhead, a built-in device linked to his identity band that operated automatically. Whatever. Let it film. He made no deliberate attempt to start broadcasting. However, the identity band's protocol automatically restored the live stream whenever the exile was active. So when Lin Feng slung his iron axe over his shoulder and marched into the forest, more than 20 million viewers simultaneously received a push notification. Exile Lin Feng, live stream resumed. Within 0.3 seconds, bullet comments flooded the screen. He's back, sir. Li Xinghe raised his bid to 30 billion star credits. Have you seen it? Say something. 30 billion. Is he planning to cut down trees? Lin Feng paid no attention to the comments. He inspected tree trunks, tapped them with his knuckles to gauge wood density, knelt to check roots for rot, and selected a straight trunk hardwood about bowl-sized in diameter. He raised his iron axe and began chopping. The audience grew frantic. Bullet comments shifted from pleas to outcries. In the Galactic Empire, all plant life was legally protected. After 3 axe blows, the constant notification pings irritated him. He glanced sideways at the floating screen, covered with mentions of Li Xinghe, 30 billion star credits, and demands for a response. He stroked the axe handle and sighed. Annoying. Then he kept chopping. Galactic Center System, Xinghe Group Headquarters. Li Xinghe sat in his levitating wheelchair, watching the stream. His gaunt fingers tapped rhythmically against the armrest. His personal secretary stood nearby and spoke cautiously. Chairman, it appears he has not noticed your offer. He has noticed, Li Xinghe replied hoarsely. Anyone who can sleep so soundly on their first day of exile is no fool. The secretary looked confused. Li Xinghe closed his eyes. Pull his complete dossier. Include confidential material withheld by the Lin clan. But that would antagonize. I already antagonized them the moment I offered 30 billion. The secretary said no more and stepped out. Li Xinghe reopened his eyes and fixed his gaze on the hologram showing the young man swinging an axe deep in the woods. At 137 years old, the richest man of the empire felt genuine curiosity for the very first time toward an F-rank exile. Someone truly stripped of everything would never carry such unshakable composure. Elsewhere, the imperial palace, Princess Anna Augustus' bedchamber. Anna had not eaten for 3 days. 12 bottles of premium, flavored nutrient paste prepared by the empire's top nutrition team sat neatly beside her levitation bed. Vanilla, mixed fruit, cream, and many others. Hologram labels described tantalizing flavors. Yet she had not touched a single one. These nutrient pastes craved by people across the galaxy held zero appeal for her. 3 days earlier, she had accidentally opened a widely shared stream replay. She had seen tomato juice dripping down the young man's chin, heard the sizzle as roasted rabbit fat dripped onto flames, and felt the unique sensations transmitted through full sensory synchronization. Anna Augustus stared at the screen, pupils dilating. After 3 full days of silence, her stomach emitted a loud, audible gurgle. 19 years of life, and this had never happened before. She tried drinking nutrient paste. The instant the liquid touched her tongue, overwhelming nausea welled up from her stomach, and she threw up. Royal physicians diagnosed mental anorexia, a common complication among S-rank psychics with no known cure. She feared she might starve to death, an absurd fate for an imperial princess. Yet here was something entirely unfamiliar that had awakened genuine hunger inside her. Earthside. Mid-chop, Lin Feng spotted a plant in the underbrush. He set down his axe and walked toward a patch of dark red peeking out from shrubs. When he saw exactly what it was, his eyes widened. Clusters of tiny dark, red berries hung thick on branches, with brown star-shaped dried fruits scattered across the ground nearby. Sichuan pepper? Star anise. A system prompt chimed. Discovered rare condiments, Sichuan pepper and star anise. Prerequisites unlocked for Sichuan-style recipes. Sichuan-style cuisine? These seasonings could not have arrived at a better moment. With them, food could become truly delicious. As excitement rose, something else caught his eye that thrilled him even more. Bright, red-pointed chili peppers pointing upward. Whoa, jackpot! Bird-eye chilies. If only he had these spices for yesterday's rabbit. The thought alone made his mouth water. He gathered 2 large handfuls each of Sichuan pepper berries and star anise pods, plucked several bright, red bird-eye chilies, wrapped them in broad leaves, and tucked the bundle inside his waistband. On his way back, he detoured to check the rabbit trap he had set the previous day. He held little hope. Repeated activity in one area made wildlife wary. Yet he heard fluttering noises as he drew near. Great! A wild pheasant had its leg caught in the snare. It flapped its wings violently in panic as he approached. This pheasant bore vivid plumage, its reddish, brown tail stretching over 30 centimeters long. It was far bulkier than pheasants Lin Feng remembered from Earth. In places untouched by human settlement, nature thrived, wildlife abundant and well-fed. Lin Feng crouched and hefted the bird. Nice, roughly 3 gene. He was in high spirits. Time for a proper feast. Bullet comments scrolled rapidly across the livestream. He caught another animal. What are those tiny red things? He survived eating tomatoes last time. Will this kill him? I bet 50 star credits he will eat it raw. I have filed a report, animal cruelty complaint. Lin Feng barely glanced upward. Back at camp, he stacked chopped wood against a tree, retrieved the small knife from his farming toolkit, gripped the pheasant firmly by its neck, and moved the blade swiftly. The bird went limp. Viewer reactions split sharply. Report him right now. Quit filing reports. I missed the rabbit roast last time because of complaints. I'm watching with my hands over my eyes, so I won't see it directly. That makes it fine. Your fingers are spread wide. You are definitely watching. Lin Feng ignored the chatter. He heated water, scalded the feathers off, gutted and cleaned the bird. The whole process took 15 minutes. Once cleaned, the pale meat was neatly diced into thumb-sized chunks. While chopping, he muttered to himself. Sichuan pepper, star anise, dried chili. No broad, bean paste, no light, soy sauce, no cooking wine. Well, make do with what I've got. A system notification popped up. Ingredient combination detected. Unlocked basic recipe, simple spicy diced chicken. The core of Sichuan-style cooking lies in layered numbing, spicy, aromatic flavors. High temperature oil is recommended to release spice aromas. The system gets me. A faint smile tugged at Lin Feng's lips. He took stored rabbit fat and slowly rendered it on a heated stone slab. Pale, yellow animal fat turned transparent as it heated, rippling gently across the stone surface. When the temperature was right, he tossed handfuls of Sichuan pepper and chopped chilies into the hot grease. Sizzle. Instantly, full, sensory synchronization transmitted the aroma faithfully to 23 million online viewers. Numbing heat, sharp spice, and rich toasted fragrance exploded all at once. In a residential district of the Galactic Center system, a middle-aged man drinking nutrient paste sneezed violently, spraying liquid all over his screen. On East Sector 7 Commercial Street, a female office worker broke into fits of coughing with streaming tears. Her co-workers thought she was suffering an allergic reaction. On a Southern Colony world, a 16-year-old boy stared fixedly at the holographic feed, saliva flooding his mouth non-stop, confused by his body's strange response. His genetic makeup held no innate memory of spiciness, yet his whole body trembled. Bullet comments exploded. What is happening to my nose? What is this? I'm crying, but I feel no sadness. How is this possible? My mouth is flooding with saliva, and I cannot stop it. Is this a chemical weapon? Should authorities be alerted? Whoa, this stimulation. Livestream viewership climbed visibly. 30 million, 40 million, 50 million. It ranked number 1 across all Empire Entertainment channels. Lin Feng poured diced chicken onto the stone slab. Hot grease splattered. Meat tumbled amid peppercorns and chilies. His stirring motions were fluid and steady. 50 million people watched the F-rank Exile perform like a master chef cooking in the open air of a desolate planet, completely in his element. The system panel raced through updates. Emotional energy collection rate, 12,000 units/second, overflow detected. Automatically expanding energy reservoir. Current reservoir, 78%, full capacity expansion complete 61%. Xinghe Group Headquarters. Li Xinghe trembled staring at the holographic projection. For elderly people with widespread organ deterioration like himself, sensory signals from full sensory synchronization were amplified many times over. His stomach contracted in sharp spasms. His failing body sent out desperate signals. I want to eat this. I want to keep living. Locate the coordinates of that planet, he ordered shakily. His secretary's mouth fell open. Imperial law forbids. I said find the coordinates. Imperial Palace, Princess Anna Augustus bedchamber. The instant peppercorns hit hot oil, Anna shot upright from her bed. As an S-rank psychic, full sensory synchronization affected her tenfold more strongly than ordinary citizens. Waves of numbing, spicy sensation surged over her from head to toe, running down her spine. Her tongue tingled, her lips burned, and her stomach cramped violently. Hunger. Overwhelming hunger. Medical alarms blared. 3 physicians rushed into the bedchamber at once. They froze at what they saw. The princess knelt beside her bed, hands clutching the mattress edge, eyes locked unblinkingly on the holographic screen, pupils dilated wide. A thin stream of saliva trickled down her chin. "Your Highness." Anna paid them no mind, never tearing her gaze away. Earthside, Lin Feng finished cooking spicy diced chicken, piling it onto the rough stone slab platter. Glistening oil coated the meat. Sichuan, peppercorns dotted the surface, steam curling upward. Though simply presented, its bold colors and rising steam carried raw, overwhelming appeal even through holographic displays. For 5 full seconds, bullet, comet traffic vanished. Then, Xinghe Group, Li Xinghe gifts 100 billion star credits. 100 billion. 100 billion. 10 times the previous offer. Has the chairman lost his mind? Please take one bite, so we can feel it. Please. Lin Feng glanced briefly at the gift notification with little visible reaction. Slowly he picked up bamboo chopsticks, lifted a piece of chicken, and brought it near his nose to inhale deeply. He sighed with genuine enjoyment, delighted by the aroma of proper food after so long. 50 million viewers collectively swallowed hard. He slowly placed the diced chicken in his mouth. Full, sensory synchron broadcasted every sensation faithfully. First the numbing tingle spreading like an electric current across his entire tongue and mouth. Then burning spiciness rising through his throat toward his nasal passages and forehead. Finally, tender juicy chicken burst against his palate. Spices amplified its savory taste tenfold, delivering layers of flavor one after another. Sweat beaded on Lin Feng's forehead, eyes reddened. He gasped for cool air, yet never paused his chopsticks. Piece after piece went into his mouth. Hiss, ha. Both pain and pleasure showed plainly across his features. Bullet comments went chaotic. It burns. My tongue hurts. Why does it hurt? Don't stop. Keep eating. I'm crying and I have no idea why. I tried nutrient paste afterward to soothe myself and threw up. Within this single hour, emergency admissions to imperial psychiatric clinics jumped 400%. Patients shared identical symptoms. Unexplainable intense hunger, acute aversion to nutrient paste, persistent phantom taste sensations. Lin Feng wiped sweat from his forehead after finishing most of the meal, set down his chopsticks, and gave the camera a meaningful smile. This sensation, he licked his lips, is something you nutrient paste drinkers will never understand. He paused briefly and added, it's called bittersweet pleasure pain. 3 seconds of total silence in bullet comment feeds. Then comments poured in faster than the livestream platform had ever recorded. What is bittersweet pleasure pain? How can pain feel good? That makes no sense. I want to experience this. Me too. How can I have this experience? 2 hours after ending the livestream. Bittersweet pleasure pain became the Empire's #1 trending keyword. Countless people attempted to replicate the feeling. Drinking scalding, hot nutrient paste, consuming legal stimulants, purchasing black market sensory simulators. None worked. Before administrators removed it for its 30 billion shares, an anonymous online post read, our civilization is sensory disabled when it comes to taste. Lin Feng shut off the live stream, leaned against his newly erected wooden frame, and pulled the basic construction blueprint pack out of his system inventory. A glowing light ball unfolded before him. Dozens of translucent blueprints floating into view. Mortise and tenon wooden houses, well, winding gear. Underground cellars, drying racks, stone mills, and more. These are exactly what you need to settle down properly. Lin Feng grew excited. He had worked on farms for 3 years back on Earth and knew basic carpentry. Mortise and tenon joints required precision, yet they were well within his abilities, especially with blueprint guidance from the system. He stored the blueprints in system storage, lay down in his temporary shelter. Before closing his eyes, he glanced at back-end statistics. His follower count had surpassed 100 million, and cumulative gift revenue exceeded 150 billion star credits. Lin Hao will grow desperate soon enough. A faint smirk crossed Lin Feng's face, and he rolled over to sleep. Lin Clan main residence, Lin Hao's bedchamber. Crash. A porcelain teacup shattered across the floor. 3 days. In merely 3 days, this exile hits 100 million followers, with an implied commercial valuation exceeding 3 of our clan's subsidiaries combined. Lin Hao's face darkened with rage, knuckles cracking as he clenched his hands. This is a direct humiliation for the Lin clan. Subordinates standing before him held their breaths, too nervous to speak. Young master, perhaps we should keep waiting. His popularity remains extraordinarily high. Heavy-handed suppression could backfire, a steward suggested carefully. Wait and do nothing? Lin Hao kicked over a tea table. The more famous he grows, the more ridicule falls upon our house. Everyone laughs that we cannot even deal with a discarded collateral, branch clansman. Another subordinate spoke cautiously. What if we bring him on board? Give him the status of a peripheral supplier for the Lin Group and funnel traffic under our banner. Bring him on board. Lin Hao sneered. Does he deserve it? Lin Hao paced back and forth across the room, his eyes cold and menacing. Get in touch with Director Qin from the Cultural Regulation Bureau. Tell him Lin Feng is spreading uncertified food culture, misleading people into consuming harmful substances and potentially triggering large-scale public health risks. The butler looked stunned. Young master, is that rationale? It will suffice. Lin Hao cut him off. Director Qin owes the Lin Group a favor. He will handle this. First, disable the live stream's synchronized feed features. Without sight or scent, how long can he rely only on his words? Early the next morning, Lin Feng restarted his stream, planning to roast some wild fruit for breakfast. He had barely set the fruit onto the stone slab when the live feed picture broke up heavily. Every trace of the roasting aroma vanished completely. Barrage comments poured in with questions. What's going on? I can't see anything. My network is running at full speed, but the platform is broken. Ugh, another technical glitch? Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and pulled up his backend information. Per regulatory requirements, visual and olfactory synchronization for sensitive content has been disabled. Lin Hao, you move fast, he murmured with a quiet laugh, completely unruffled. Viewership plummeted from 50 million, 40 million, 30 million, 10 million, 8 million. Only hard fans remained. This is censorship. Why are we being blocked? The Lin Group must be behind this. Most viewers had already left. After all, there was nothing to see or smell, so what was the point of staying? Lin Feng put out the fire under the stone slab, brushed dust off his hands, and spoke calmly to the camera. It seems someone does not want you to watch me eat. He paused, a hint of amusement playing on his lips. That's fine. Let's switch to something else. The remaining fans immediately dropped their complaints. What is it? I want to see. We'll watch anything. We support you. Lin Feng said evenly. Have you ever seen buildings assembled entirely by interlocking wooden joints, without a single nail? The chat fell silent for 2 seconds. No nails? How does it stay together? Has the streamer changed careers? Ignoring the skepticism, Lin Feng drew a small knife from his waist, picked up a piece of wood at random, and began cutting a dovetail joint. The blade glided across the timber, sending wood shavings flying. Within minutes, a precise dovetail joint sat before the camera. He carved a matching mortise. The two pieces clicked together with a light push, perfectly tight. This is mortise and tenon construction. Mechanically, it is stronger than welded or bolted connections. It can also be disassembled and repaired. Professional-sounding remarks flooded the chat. Wow, look at that force distribution. I study civil engineering. The theoretical structural strength really is superior. Can someone with F-rank psychic power pull off such fine work? Lin Feng slung an axe over his shoulder and walked toward the edge of the forest. The first step to building a house is selecting timber. 3 hours later, the rough frame of a wooden house stood complete. 4 solid support posts anchored firmly in the ground. Beams locked into the posts via dovetail joints. Not a single nail held the structure, yet it did not shift an inch. Lin Feng stood beside the frame, wiped sweat from his forehead, and smiled toward the camera. How is that? Sturdier than your prefabricated buildings. The tone of the live chat had shifted entirely. That craftsmanship is incredible. I'm a mechanical engineer. This joining method could work inside starships. The vice president of the Imperial Engineers Association just followed the stream. An architecture professor here. I've recorded the footage. Instead of dropping, viewership climbed back to 20 million concurrent viewers. The audience had transformed. Where once there had been mostly food lovers, now engineers, architects, machinery enthusiasts, and tech-minded people filled the stream. Lin Feng glanced at his back-end statistics, said nothing, and kept working. Inside the main Lin family residence, he is still gaining followers? Lin Hao stared at the performance report, his face dark with rage. The butler spoke nervously. Young master, he now draws technical audiences. These people have far greater spending power. And the vice president of the Imperial Engineers Association has followed him. Lin Hao slammed his fist onto the table. A crack split the solid wood tabletop. Keep monitoring him. I refuse to believe he can avoid cooking forever. Evening came. Lin Feng finished the main wooden house frame. He brushed wood dust from his hands and pulled a handful of bright green leaves from his waist. After a hard day's work, something refreshing. He boiled water and dropped in the rosemary, mint leaves. The instant boiling water hit the leaves, a cool sensation traveled through the holographic synchronization feed. This was no ordinary taste or smell stimulus. It was a deeper, mental level sensation. Even though olfactory and gustatory transmission remained blocked, mental's primary effect operated through tactile perception. Exclamations rolled through the chat, which erupted after several seconds of silence. My psychic fluctuations just stabilized. Oh wow, my headache is gone. What plant is this? Where can I buy it? I'm a starship pilot. My psychic overload alarm just stopped. I will pay 10 million star coins. Imperial Palace, Princess Anna's bedchamber. The imperial physicians carried out their routine daily examination. As the cool mint tea sensation washed over the room, readings on monitoring equipment fluctuated sharply. Anna's erratic psychic frequency stabilized at once. The chief physician turned toward Anna with trembling hands. Your Highness, how do you feel? Anna closed her eyes and wore a peaceful expression for the very first time. Relaxed, more comfortable than I have ever felt. She opened her eyes and fixed her gaze on the teacup held by Lin Feng on the hologram screen. I want that. Star, River Group Headquarters. Li Xinghe lay inside a medical pod receiving his weekly psychic maintenance therapy. The treatment was agonizing. His skin was ashen and his whole body shook with muscle spasms. His secretary hurried in and projected the live stream feed. The moment the faint mint scent arrived through holographic sync, the centenarian snapped awake and sat upright in his medical pod. His personal doctor stared in shock at the vital signs monitor. Sir, your brainwaves, this should not be possible. Li Xing. He stared fixedly at the screen, his lips trembling. Find out everything. Botanical name, habitat, how to obtain this plant. He paused and spoke in a hoarse voice. No expense is to be spared. Lin Feng slowly finished his mint tea and gave a satisfied, deliberate yawn toward the camera. Ah, wonderful. After a full day of labor, my back no longer aches, my legs feel fine, and my mind is sharp. He stretched. Tomorrow we keep building. I aim to finish this wooden house in 3 days. After a short pause, he added casually, by the way, I found a huge patch of this mint in the forest. Enough for me to drink for half a year. The chat exploded. Sell some to me. I bid 1 billion star coins. Please, just set a price. Lin Feng read the flood of purchase requests and smiled faintly. No sale. He closed the stream. That night, inside the live stream platform headquarters, an emergency meeting was underway. The operations director delivered his report. Far from collapsing after content restrictions, Lin Feng's stream has acquired new commercial value. 17 top-tier imperial corporations want partnerships, including Star River Group. The CEO frowned. What about the Cultural Regulation Bureau? Before he could finish, a secretary rushed inside. Lawyers representing Chairman Li Xing. Here downstairs. They demand immediate restoration of all stream features. Otherwise, they will sue our platform for improper commercial interference. Silence fell over the meeting room. 3 minutes later, another confidential directive arrived. The Imperial Royal House instructed the platform to handle Lin Feng's live stream fairly and guarantee freedom of information dissemination. 2 powerful forces applied pressure simultaneously. The CEO took a deep breath. Restore all features. Announce that technical faults have been fixed. Do it now. Lin family main residence. When Lin Hao learned what had happened, he crushed the wine glass in his grip. Blood dripped down his fingers. Li Xing. He. And the royal house. His voice sank, his eyes filled with menace. They side with an exiled convict against the Lin group? The butler kept his head bowed and said nothing. Lin Hao stayed quiet for a long moment, then let out a cold laugh. Very well. Excellent. If that is how they want it, do not blame me for being ruthless. Early next morning, Lin Feng went live once more. Every feature was fully restored. The picture was sharp, scent, synchronization worked perfectly. Fans flooded in. 10 million, 30 million, 50 million, 80 million concurrent viewers. Lin Feng watched viewership surge and smiled faintly toward the camera. Thanks to young Master Lin Hao for filtering out casual onlookers and leaving only genuine fans. He pulled out 2 large handfuls of mint leaves. To celebrate the stream's full recovery, I will brew an enhanced version, double-strength mint tea. Boiling water poured over the leaves. Rich, powerful fragrance burst forth, surging through holographic feeds all across the galaxy. Countless people drained from heavy psychic strain slumped back in their seats. One elite imperial psychic warrior on a training ground set down his weapon and formally requested emergency leave. Lin Feng lifted his teacup and gave the camera a meaningful smile. Here's to this fatigue, relieving wonder drink. He drank it all in one go, closed his eyes deliberately, showing complete mental refreshment and physical ease, and sighed loudly for effect. I feel alive again. The chat descended into total frenzy. 10 million star coins. 100 million. Just sell me one single leaf. Lin Feng opened his eyes and read the wave of buying requests. You people, keep drinking your nutrient paste. Imperial Academy of Sciences, Laboratory B7. Assistant Chen burst through the doorway, nearly tripping over the threshold in his haste. He clutched a data tablet. Professor, regarding that military subject, leave me alone. Professor Murphy replied without lifting his head. His holographic screens overflowed with gene sequence charts for his 3-year stalled project, artificial psychic stabilizer synthesis. Chen stayed where he stood and spoke urgently. Brain wave logs for rank warrior Chen Ting were leaked onto the academic intranet last night. While watching the Exiles live stream, his psychic readings showed a positive shift of 0.3%. 0.3%. Murphy finally looked up, impatience behind his spectacles. That falls within statistical error. Have you forgotten everything you learned in your 3-year doctorate? He snatched the tablet from Chen's hands, skimmed the contents, and tossed it straight into the waste bin beside his desk. A convict boiling weeds can alter psychic power? Then 20 years of laboratory funding should be returned to the national treasury. Chen opened his mouth to argue, yet Murphy ignored him. He had no choice but to turn and leave. Star, River Group Medical Center, VIP Ward. 17%. The personal doctor handed Li Xing the monitoring report, his fingertips trembling. Sir, during last night's live stream viewing session, the rate of your psychic decline slowed by 17%. This value. Li Xing. He sat on the edge of the hospital bed wearing plain gray patient robes, yet his eyes remained sharp. No one would guess he was a centenarian. He read over the report. Form a special task. Force immediately, he said, barely containing his excitement. Use no official channels and keep no audit trails. Within 1 month, I want complete ecological data for that planet. The secretary stood 2 meters away, looking hesitant. But Lin Feng ignores all our messages. Raise the offer. 500 billion star coins. If he still ignores us, Li Xing, he paused. Make it 1 trillion. Keep sending the offer. The secretary hesitated and nodded. Understood. Truly a billionaire among billionaires. Lin family main residence. 3 men sat opposite Lin Hao, a star net public opinion strategist, and 2 certified specialists from the Imperial Psychic Medicine Association. Do not pretend the tea tastes unpleasant. Lin Hao leaned back in his chair and tapped his fingers against the tabletop. Denying its flavor makes us look foolish when 40 million people experienced it for themselves. Our goal is to separate pleasant taste from therapeutic effect. The strategist nodded. We have seeded discussion on the placebo effect theory. #Exile Survival Performance hashtag is already trending 3rd. Not enough. Lin Hao cut him off with a gesture. I need authoritative endorsement. He looked toward the 2 experts. Release a joint public statement. State clearly that no natural plant can affect psychic ability. This represents 100-year-old established scientific consensus. The 2 specialists exchanged glances. One spoke up. Young master, what if evidence later disproves this? Disproven? Lin Hao laughed. How many years have your lab spent searching for natural psychic, relaxing compounds? Have you found any? Silence answered him. 1 hour later, the signed joint statement appeared online, bearing 3 respected Imperial experts' names. Public sentiment across Star Net shifted instantly. Earth, early morning. Lin Feng squatted beside a stream, splashing cold water over his face. The chill made him shiver. He shook water off his hands, opened his system panel, and browsed Star Net. Comments flooded his feed calling him a fraud, dismissing everything as placebo trickery and labeling the stream a primitive stunt. Even the rank warrior had released a formal statement. My recovery was ordinary post, training relief, and unrelated to the live stream. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes. This was clearly not written by the warrior himself. The formal phrasing showed heavy-handed military public relations pressure. Someone was pulling strings. He checked his viewer count graph. Numbers had dropped from 80 million down to 40 million. Scientific consensus? Lin Feng stood and brushed dirt off his trousers. None of you have ever eaten something grown in soil, yet you lecture me on science. He opened his system shop and spent 45,000 emotion points to purchase a primary matter composition analyzer. His balance stood at 47,832 points, almost completely drained. He did not hesitate for even a second. A palm-sized silver White device materialized in his palm, shaped like a hybrid magnifying glass and scanning pistol. He plucked a mint leaf and placed it inside the testing slot. A light flashed. Text appeared on screen. Test subject. Mint, species leaf radiation, mutated variant key active compounds. Mental 47. Time standard interstellar concentration. Alpha, psychic. Relaxation factor 0.003%. Note: alpha, psychic, relaxation factor briefly binds with human neural synapse receptors. Boosts psychic power activity by 1 to 2% for 15 to 30 minutes. Lin Feng stared at the data, his breath catching. He had long suspected Earth plants had changed, yet he had never imagined mutations this extreme. Small print appeared underneath. Notice: this factor did not exist within Earth plant life before the Great Purge. It emerged through radiation-driven genetic mutation. Roughly 12% of Earth's present-day plant species carry various psychic-related compounds. 12%. One plant out of every 8 growing on this planet carried psychic active compounds. Something no one across the galaxy had managed to synthesize in 100 years grew wild all around him. Lin Feng slowly lifted his head and laughed aloud toward the empty sky. Abandoned planet. This is a literal gold mine. System prompt. Detected host emotional surge. Triumphant retribution. Would you like to add this discovery to your long-term business strategy? Recommendation: do not disclose core analytical data. Maximize profit using information asymmetry. No need for your advice. Lin Feng stored the analyzer away, speaking lazily. He spent the whole morning surveying the area around his camp. Rosemary contained beta, psychic, stabilization factor. Moss growing beside the stream held gamma, psychic, repair factor. Pollen from a small blue flower even contained delta, psychic, amplification factor. Most concentrations remained weak, too low to create measurable bodily effects. Yet the system informed him he could boost concentrations with its ripening and modification function. Unlock condition: finish constructing the wooden house. Lin Feng glanced at his half-completed timber frame and rolled up his sleeves. First he would finish building the house. He opened his live stream. 40 million concurrent viewers watched. Mocking comments filled the chat. Fraud, admit you are lying. Placebo guru. What stunt will you pull today? Drinking water to cure illness. 3 authoritative scientists confirmed natural plants cannot alter psychic power. Understand basic science. Lin Feng scanned the chat, showing no visible reaction. Today we keep building the house. He picked up his wooden mallet. I will not argue. You would not understand anyway. He turned and got back to work. There was no point arguing or defending himself. Mocking messages kept rolling in. That's it. No rebuttal. Guilty conscience. Definitely a fraud caught red-handed and too scared to reply. Lin Feng paid them no mind. Mortise and tenon beams locked cleanly into upright posts, making crisp, satisfying knocking sounds. Technical-minded viewers spammed wow. Half an hour passed. Sweat coated Lin Feng's skin. He plucked a few rosemary leaves growing beside his campsite, crushed them between his fingers, and inhaled. Clear herbal scent refreshed him. He exhaled comfortably and returned to his labor. Full sensory transmission carried that crisp herbal aroma out to 40 million viewers. 3 seconds, 5 seconds. The chat was slow to react. Wait, did my mind just feel clearer? Oh my God, same for me, the second that scent arrived. But the expert said, yet I genuinely felt something. Anyone else feel their throbbing temple pain vanish all of a sudden? Wow, that's incredible. Lin Feng ignored the chat and kept working. Imperial Academy of Sciences, Laboratory B7. Assistant Chun entered a second time. Professor. He set his data tablet down in front of Murphy. On it were live stream, platform backend physiological feedback statistics gathered across 40 million viewers. Within the 10-second window when Lin Feng crushed rosemary leaves, 37% of viewers registered positive minor brain wave shifts. P. Value 0.001. Murphy stared at those figures. 40 million test subjects? 37%? P less than 0.001. The numbers sent chills down his spine. He took off his glasses and leaned forward to double check. This cannot be. How is this possible? Hurry. Retrieve that earlier report I threw away. Chen sprinted out toward the building's garbage truck. Murphy put his glasses back on and pulled up every single full synchronization recording from Lin Feng's stream history. He reviewed frame by frame. Every moment natural, plant scents were broadcast correlated with positive shifts in audience psychic readings. It had started the very first time Lin Feng ate that red fruit. The data had always shown positive trends. No, one had analyzed the metrics from that angle before. He filed none of these findings for official review. Instead, he locked every dataset inside his personal encrypted archive. Earth. Dusk fell by the time Lin Feng finished work. Viewership had climbed unnoticeably from 40 million to 60 million. He stretched and casually wandered over to the mint thicket. He plucked a leaf, popped it into his mouth, and chewed. Tomorrow we raise the main roof beams, he mumbled. Everyone else keep drinking your nutrient paste. Full, sensory transmission carried mint, infused coolness out towards 60 million audiences. He shut down the stream. Back-end statistics showed 40 million people had set reminders for his next broadcast within 3 minutes after he went offline. Online discussions about the placebo effect still trended high. Yet comment sections shifted subtly. The experts say it does nothing, but my own brain knows what I felt. Is something wrong with my body? Or are those 3 experts mistaken? Should I trust my own neural responses or peer-reviewed papers? Back inside his family's main residence, Lin Hao scrolled these comments and flung a bottle of nutrient paste his butler had prepared across the room. Damn it, dawn broke. Lin Feng stepped out of his shelter. He ate a simple breakfast. The night before he had trapped another hare. Earth, restored to its primeval abundance, teemed with wildlife. Hares and pheasants were easy to catch. He planned to prepare 2 different dishes from this hare for lunch and dinner. After breakfast, he climbed onto his half-finished wooden house frame, hoisted a heavy beam onto one shoulder, steadied it with one hand, and swung his wooden mallet with the other. Thunk! The tenon clicked firmly into its mortise with a solid thud, fitting perfectly tight. Live, stream concurrent viewers, 60,300,000. The chat boiled over with fierce debate. Real, life experience crew assemble. That rosemary scent drifted over, and my migraine actually went away. Yeah, right. It's just the placebo effect. 3 experts have already confirmed it. Then how do you explain why my mind feels clearer? It's all psychological. Fine, then don't watch. Get lost. Lin Feng glanced at the bullet screen comments, but did not reply to a single one. He had been busy building a house these past few days, surviving on wild fruits and tomatoes. Tanned by the sun, he could not be bothered engaging with the trolls in the live stream chat. Let things play out. The fiercer the arguments grew, the higher his viewership climbed. He did not even need to spend credits on advertising. He had just hoisted the second crossbeam onto his shoulders when a soft ding echoed from his system panel. Private communication request, an encrypted band source identifier, Galaxy Group, chairman's dedicated line. Lin Feng raised an eyebrow. He did not answer right away. Instead, he set the crossbeam firmly into its mortise and tenon joint. After hearing the crisp click of interlocking timber, he brushed wood shavings off his palms and slowly opened the communication channel. Everyone, give me 1 moment for some private business. He cut the live stream feed to a black screen. The chat room exploded instantly, with viewers flooding the comments, wildly speculating who he was talking to. As the connection established, a holographic projection lit up before him. An elderly man sat in a levitating wheelchair. Gaunt and haggard, loose skin hung from his frame. Every line on his face bore marks of fading mental vitality. Yet his eyes burned sharply, like an eagle locking onto prey. Young man, the old man said without any pleasantries. I will give you 100 billion credits for your mint plants. I want no formula, no details about their origin. Only finished products. Leaning against the half-finished timber wall, Lin Feng studied him. Oldly, he drawled. You can buy nearly anything within the empire. But what is it you cannot purchase? The elderly man within the hologram fell silent. Time. Li Xinghe uttered the 2 words. Exactly. Lin Feng nodded. So we will not talk about money. Money means nothing to me. I have nowhere to spend a single credit on this planet. Li Xinghe narrowed his eyes. Over more than a century of business dealings, no one had ever brushed aside his offer like this. This young man was even harder to negotiate with than the crafty old power brokers in the imperial capital. What do you want then? Supplies. Lin Feng had prepared his list long beforehand and began reciting each item. 1S, grade precision processing center, 20 military-grade energy cells, a planetary-scale environmental monitoring system, plus an orbital defense early warning network. Li Xinghe's brows twitched. To him, those 4 items were hardly valuable. There is more. Lin Feng paused. A complete collection of all publicly published imperial research papers on mental power. Every last one of them. The old man's eyes narrowed further. What do you intend to do with those papers? Lin Feng smiled, yet offered no reply. Old Li, you only need to tell me whether you agree. Standing beside Li Xinghe in the hologram, his assistant stared at his boss in shock. The processing center, energy cells, and defense early warning network were all military-controlled goods. Trading items like these was a capital offense, equivalent to smuggling goods to penal colonies. The assistant opened his mouth to object. A single sharp glance from Li Xinghe silenced him. Agreed. That was all the old man said. The assistant tried to protest once more, but Li Xinghe waved him down. I am 137 years old. Li Xinghe's voice was dry and raspy as he looked straight at Lin Feng. I have exhausted every legal path available. Not a single one could grant me an extra decade of life. Lin Feng said nothing. He could tell the old man truly had nothing left to lose. People backed into a corner were willing to take the biggest gambles. Very well. That settles the general terms. Lin Feng straightened up. My first batch of delivery will include 50 portions of concentrated mint extract, 20 portions of rosemary essential oil, plus something you have never seen before, 10 finished portions of compound mental, soothing beverage. How will delivery work? Lin Feng read off a set of coordinates for geosynchronous orbit around the planet. 3 days from now, dispatch an unmanned cargo vessel and drop the supplies at this location. I will handle the rest. You possess no space, flight hardware. Li Xinghe stared at him. Once cargo is dumped in orbit, how will you retrieve it? Lin Feng grinned. There are things on this planet far more interesting than you imagine. He waved a hand. You will find out in 3 days. With those words, he terminated the call. Lin Feng switched back to the livestream feed. 60 million viewers had only heard him mention private business, and speculation ran rampant across the comments section. With a perfectly calm expression, he hefted another crossbeam onto his shoulder. Only 3 days remained. He needed to finish constructing his house first, unlock the plant acceleration function, and mass-produce these high-concentration botanical extracts. Time was tight. Imperial Academy of Sciences, Laboratory B7. Murphy locked the door from inside. Hidden private data models unfolded across his screen. He cross-referenced every timestamp where Lin Feng came into contact with plants against the brainwave curves of 40 million viewers. Starting with that red fruit, then the grilled rabbit meat, spicy diced chicken, all the way to the rosemary. Every single incident produced measurable positive physiological shifts. Furthermore, effects grew stronger with repeated exposure. Hard empirical data sent a shiver through him. This was no placebo effect. Genuine physical responses were being triggered. Instead of submitting a formal report, he pulled up an expedition application form and filled in D001, Lin Feng's planet, as his destination. The system reply popped up almost instantly. Location D001, S-Class Penal Colony. Entry prohibited for all non-military personnel. Application rejected. Murphy took off his glasses and frowned deeply. Imperial Palace. A royal physician bowed low, keeping his voice quiet. Your Majesty, over the past 3 days, the princess's vital signs have visibly improved whenever this streamer's live broadcast is active. Episodes of mental instability have dropped by 40%. The emperor remained silent. Moreover, the physician hesitated briefly. Last night, for the first time in 3 years, the princess voluntarily asked for food. She only drank half a tube of nutrient paste, but this marks unprecedented progress. Silence hung heavy across the great hall for a long moment. The emperor lifted his hand. Send confidential orders to the Household Guard Intelligence Division. His tone betrayed no emotion. Investigate the current state of Penal Colony D001 and determine whether entry is feasible. The following day, on the surface of the alien world, Lin Feng's live broadcast turned entirely into a construction stream. He sawed timber, cut mortises, and fitted rafters with smooth, practiced movements. When the final rafter slid into place, the system prompt chimed. House building mission completed. Rewards granted. Plant acceleration modification function unlocked. Farm planning system unlocked. Primary seed gene editing privileges unlocked. Standing before his finished wooden house, Lin Feng exhaled deeply. A long-awaited sense of stability washed over him. 65 million viewers flooded comments with congratulations and praise. Gift notifications flooded the screen so heavily they caused brief lag. Lin Feng paid them little mind. His full attention was fixed on the 3 newly unlocked system functions. He ended the live stream for the night. Squatting beside his mint thicket, he tapped his system panel. Acceleration modification, target, radiation mutated Mentha species. Estimated completion time, 24 hours. He repeated the procedure for rosemary, as well as that small blue flower containing the delta factor. When modifying the blue flower, bright red warning text popped up. Warning, once delta mental amplification factor concentration exceeds 0.05%, addictive potential arises. It is advised to stay within safe concentration thresholds. Addiction. He ran a business. He was not manufacturing intoxicants. Risks like this had to be eliminated entirely. Early morning on the third day, Lin Feng plucked one leaf of modified mint and placed it inside his analyzer. Blue light swept across the sample, and test results appeared. Alpha mental soothing factor concentration, 0.02%. Wow. Concentration had jumped nearly sevenfold, up from the original 0.003%. He tested the rosemary next. Its beta factor concentration had likewise multiplied. After double-checking datasets multiple times to confirm accuracy, Lin Feng rolled up his sleeves and got down to work. As soon as he went live, large crowds of waiting fans poured into his stream. Look, that's the same green plant from yesterday. Streamer, hurry and make those beneficial botanical extracts. Lin Feng ignored their pleas, intentionally building anticipation. Opening the system shop, he redeemed a botanical extraction device capable of processing mint and distilling rosemary essential oil. It was remarkable alien-level technology. As for the compound mental soothing beverage promised to Li Xinghe, Lin Feng wore a knowing grin. That posed no difficulty at all. Drawing inspiration from fruit drink recipes from Earth in his past life, he could mash tomatoes into pulp and blend in distilled mint and rosemary essences. That would make his specially formulated mental soothing drink. He named it officially Compound Mental Soothing Beverage. I am genuinely brilliant, he laughed quietly to himself. Bullet screen comments scrolled nonstop. Has the streamer lost his mind? He looks ridiculous grinning like that. We prefer it when he keeps a straight face. Lin Feng glanced over the comments and fell quiet. Show us the spicy rabbit dish you made yesterday. Please cook something. Lin Feng's own mouth watered. Half of the rabbit from the previous day had become spicy diced rabbit. The rest had been stewed with tomatoes. Those 2 meals alone had earned him over 40,000 units of emotional energy. What should he cook today? I will keep it simple. Eating meat every single day grows monotonous. Wails erupted across the comment section. No, we wanted to see you cook rabbit. Cook rabbit. System notification. Emotional energy collecting. Craving. 193,333 units. Frustration. 6,666 units. A smirk tugged at Lin Feng's lips. He knew exactly how to play to his audience. Li Xinghe's shipment would arrive in a couple of days. With a mysterious smile, Lin Feng redeemed a large, unfamiliar piece of hardware from the system shop. Questions flooded bullet screen comments. What on earth is that? Is he about to perform some strange ritual? Ignoring viewers, Lin Feng picked up welding equipment and began assembling the large device. Construction would easily take 2 full days. 6 o'clock one early morning. Lin Feng knelt within the woods and cut the last batch of improved mint, filling his basket. Analyzer readings confirmed alpha factor concentration remained stable at 0.02%. Satisfied, he walked toward the large metal apparatus beside his wooden house. Its base and coiled frame were assembled, yet its core component mounting socket stood empty, like an open hand waiting to receive hardware. He checked the time. 3 hours remained. His live stream stayed online, and viewers spammed the chat box. Mint, the soothing beverage. You made that special drink. Why won't you drink it live? Lin Feng retrieved 20 sealed bottles of compound mental soothing beverage from system storage and shook them toward the camera. These are goods ordered by Boss Lee. Chaos erupted in the comments. The special drink. I want one too. I will pay 200 million credits for a single bottle. Sell one to me, please. Pretending not to see the offers, Lin Feng slowly stowed all 20 bottles away. Wails filled the chat. He set up his extraction device and fed rosemary inside, casually remarking, "A delivery is arriving today." Confused replies rolled in. A penal colony gets package deliveries? Has he lost his memory? Lin Feng offered no explanation. The camera naturally panned across the half-built metal device behind him. Welded steel formed its base, stacked triple coils made up its upper frame, and empty mounting sockets gave no clue to its purpose. Dozens of viewers asked about it, yet Lin Feng answered none, continuing his work. Afternoon. In geosynchronous orbit above the planet, cargo vessel Galaxy 07 entered D-001's gravitational pull. The ship's AI transmitted a confirmation signal down to the planet's surface. Lin Feng replied with a short "received," then set down his tools and patted the coiled frame of his apparatus. Only a few final core components still needed fitting. Inside the unmanned vessel, automated routines initiated scheduled cargo deployment. Without warning, blaring alarms echoed through the cabin. System alert. Unauthorized external signal detected. Cargo bay latches fully unlocked. Hull structural integrity approaching critical threshold. In an instant, Galaxy 07 broke apart in orbit. 12 sealed shipping containers, wrapped in roiling plasma flames, screamed downward toward the planetary surface. A news ticker flashed across Imperial military channels. Civilian cargo vessel suffers structural failure in orbit over D-001. Debris entering atmosphere. Within 1 minute, concurrent viewers on Lin Feng's livestream jumped from 80 million to 200 million. Curiosity among bullet screen comments shifted to collective panic. Oh my god, run! Was that the shipment meant for the streamer? This is a disaster. Inside Lin Hao's study, an aide quietly finished reading the breaking news report, not daring to lift his eyes. Heh. A cold smile curved Lin Hao's lips. Even fate works in my favor. He opened Lin Feng's livestream feed and leaned lazily back in his chair. A mental power zero dared to stand against the Lin family? On the alien planet's surface, dozens of blazing red streaks sliced through cloud cover. Deep, rumbling thunder rolled down from high altitude, growing louder and louder until the ground shook violently. Full sensory streaming faithfully conveyed that overwhelming sense of menace. Many viewers instinctively tried closing the stream. Calm and composed beside his large apparatus, Lin Feng lifted his gaze toward the sky. Here they come. He calculated the impact point of the first container and fine-tuned the angle of his coils. Once alignment was perfect, he pressed the activation switch. Coils atop the device blazed with cool blue light, creating a stark contrast against the fiery red streaks falling from above. The first shipping container, wrapped in hundreds-degree plasma flames, abruptly decelerated 800 meters above the ground. The shift in velocity was plainly visible. Falling at hundreds of meters per second, it slowed sharply until its speed dropped to merely 10 meters per second. Plasma flames faded away. The 3-ton container drifted down like a falling leaf and landed softly within the cleared zone Lin Feng had marked out. Dust stirred gently upon impact. The container hull remained intact. 3 full seconds of total silence hung over the livestream chat room before comments exploded. What in the world? Did he just catch orbital debris? Am I dreaming? Concurrent viewership exceeded 500 million within 30 seconds. Lin Feng showed no dramatic reaction. He adjusted aiming angles and locked onto the next container. The same procedure slowed the second container safely down to the ground. Then the third, fourth, one after another, he reeled them in. Containers sat neatly lined up across the open ground to the north. Every safe landing triggered another wave of shocked comments. After the 12th container touched down, Lin Feng shut down his machine and wiped sweat from his forehead with his sleeve. Man, this is way more tiring than farming. Chat comments fell completely still. Screenshots spread like wildfire across the interstellar web. Inside Galaxy Group headquarters, holographic displays showed Li Xinghe watching the whole sequence unfold. What kind of device is that beside him, he asked. His secretary shook his head. No one recognized the hardware. Li Xinghe laughed. That young man is truly full of mysteries. He turned toward his secretary. Why did our cargo vessel break apart mid-mission? The secretary's forehead beaded with nervous sweat. My apologies, Director. We found no clear cause. Li Xinghe waved the matter aside. Never mind. Anything involving that youth tends to turn strange. Back on the planet's surface, Lin Feng began unpacking his delivered goods. Opening each container one by one, he spoke toward the livestream camera, ticking off inventory items. Miniature processing center, good. Energy cell packs, sufficient supply. Communication booster, excellent. Alloy stock, perfect. Bullet screen comments grew numb, filled with endless ellipses. Then he opened the 9th shipping container. Lin Feng's eyes widened. This box held none of the listed supplies. Instead stood a compact, folded defensive turret finished in matte black. Its identification plate read, Model Thunder 3. Tucked beside it was a handwritten digital note, a gift for you. Remember to complete calibration after installation. Lin Feng stared at the turret with obvious delight and smiled broadly. That old man really knows how to deliver. 1 hour later, the defensive turret stood mounted on high ground beside his wooden house. Its 3-meter barrel pointed skyward, automatically entering active sentry mode. System notification, Farm Defense System activated. Effective defense radius, 10 kilometers. Patting the gun barrel, Lin Feng turned meaningfully toward the livestream lens. All right, my farm is off limits to uninvited guests. He glanced upward toward the sky, his gaze carrying a quiet challenge. Questions appeared across bullet screen comments. Who is he talking about? Thought-provoking, the Lin family, probably. Would members of the Lin family dare show up now? Within 10 minutes, the Imperial trending topics, Lin Feng's defensive turret, and off-limits to uninvited guests surpassed 100 billion views. Inside Lin Hao's luxury study, a porcelain artifact valued at 30 million star credits shattered across the floor. Lin Hao stood amid shards of broken pottery, chest heaving with rage. Lin Feng finished calibrating the defensive turret and went through full stock-taking. Once inventory checks concluded, his system displayed a notice. Stock-taking complete. Current supplies support advancing farm construction to Phase 3 foundational frameworks. Understood. He pushed empty shipping containers to the north side and activated his communicator, placing a call to Li Xinghe. His secretary answered. Mr. Lin, Director Li is currently. I have dispatched your goods. Lin Feng cut in. I am sending you geosynchronous orbital coordinates. Send a craft to retrieve them. Silence stretched for 2 seconds on the other end of the line. I beg your pardon. The finished goods are waiting in orbit. He repeated himself clearly. 50 portions concentrated mint extract, 20 portions rosemary essential oil, 10 portions compound mental soothing beverage. All sealed within secure cargo pods. Send a ship to collect them. Another 2-second pause. Without waiting for a reply, Lin Feng ended the call and walked back toward his deceleration apparatus. He had already calculated parameters for reverse fire mode 3 minutes earlier. Shifting from receiving falling objects to launching payloads only required adjusting coil angles by 17 degrees. He manually repositioned the coils, locked the sealed cargo pod into place, and initiated energy charging. Bright blue light flared. The less than 5 kilogram cargo pod lifted off the ground, pierced through cloud layers, crossed the atmospheric boundary, and drifted along pre-computed orbital trajectories toward the assigned coordinates. Full sensory streaming faithfully broadcast the blue flash and rushing wind sounds. Chaos erupted in the livestream chat. He just launched payloads straight into orbit? This is not delivery service. This is a space catapult. The same machine that caught falling containers can launch things back out? How does his mind even work? I have exclaimed in shock countless times today. I cannot take any more surprises. System notification, emotional energy collecting, astonishment, 388, 291 units. Lin Feng returned coil power settings to standby and wiped dust off his hands. Nothing special. At Galaxy Group headquarters, the secretary found Li Xinghe wearing a deeply perplexed expression. Director Li, Mr. Lin states, the goods are waiting in orbit and wants us to retrieve them. Li Xinghe set down the document he had been reading and looked toward his secretary. How did he launch them into orbit? Using that large apparatus, reverse, firing it upward. Silence filled the room for a short while. Then Li Xinghe laughed out loud and waved his hand. Send a ship to collect them immediately. When the vessel arrived at the assigned orbital coordinates, the sealed cargo pod floated steadily in position with 0 damage. Li Xinghe personally entered the testing laboratory and took out the first bottle of compound mental, soothing beverage. Pale, green liquid swirled inside, carrying a distinct aroma mixing mint and tomato, unlike any mental enhancement formulation he had ever encountered. He took a sip without hesitation. A cool sensation surged from his throat straight up toward his nasal passages. Ah, this feels wonderful. Medical staff immediately positioned scanner probes toward him. Readings began scrolling across monitors. 3 minutes later, the chief medical officer stared fixedly at the screen, lips pressed tight. His mental power fluctuation amplitude dropped from a steady baseline of 0.73, maintained over 10 years, down to 0.31, and continued trending steadily lower. Complete silence fell over the testing laboratory, broken only by quiet swallowing sounds. Li Xinghe set the empty bottle down on the table and scanned his subordinates, eyes shining with unprecedented clarity. Encrypt all datasets. Everyone present signs non-disclosure agreements. No test records from today may leave this room. Director Li, should word of these effects spread, that is exactly why it must remain confidential. He walked over toward a large window overlooking sprawling interstellar city lights and stood lost in brief thought. That young man is stuck on a penal colony. All he has is one defensive turret. He spoke softly. Once royal households and other powerful consortiums detect what these products can do, his odds of staying alive will grow slim. He turned toward his secretary. Arrange a stealth shield data, link for D001 under the guise of commercial investment. Carry this out discreetly and do not draw anyone's attention. The secretary jotted down the instructions silently. Back inside Lin Hao's study, an aide delivered routine updates. Wreckage from Galaxy 07 has entered atmospheric re-entry. According to projections, the live stream should have. I already know what happened. Lin Hao's brows knotted tight. Have we learned anything about that apparatus? We cannot trace its technological origin. It matches no officially registered Imperial hardware. Its core principle is a variant of electromagnetic resonance deceleration. We are still calculating how far ahead of current technology it stands. Lin Hao clenched his hands into fists. Li Xinghe. He spoke the name quietly. Has he received Lin Feng's products? He has. Good. Secure his real medical examination reports. Sir, that kind of data will be extremely difficult to obtain. Difficulty is your problem to resolve. The aide bowed and withdrew. Lin Hao leaned back in his chair, watching Lin Feng's silhouette projected across his display screen. A discarded outcast from his own family, rated F, grade for mental power, with no powerful backers. By what right? For the first time, genuine curiosity stirred within him. Just where did this man come from? After ending the stream, Lin Feng did not sleep. He was about to build his very own farm. He opened the operation interface for the micro-processing center directly. A 3D modeling projection bathed his face in blue light. Sparks flew from alloy sheets beneath the cutting head amid shrill noise. Yet there were no neighbors on this planet to file complaints. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the first load-bearing pillar took shape. The system prompt chimed on schedule. Fundamental building blueprint library unlocked. Available drawings. Type, I automated irrigation system. Standard, spec ecological greenhouse. Lin Feng scrolled through the blueprint details, his eyes landing on the energy consumption column. Minimum operating power, 3S, grade energy battery packs wired in parallel. He glanced back at the 3 battery sets he had just hauled out of the shipping container. Exactly 3, no more, no less. Did you peek at my delivery slip? The system gave no reply. It never responded to such accusations. For the next several days, Lin Feng streamed while he worked. Day 1. Installing irrigation pipe networks. He went live, mounting his camera on top of the greenhouse frame for a panoramic overhead shot. Squatting on the ground tightening pipe joints, he moved with a skill that belied any first-time installer. Truth be told, this was far from his first time. He had laid the drip irrigation system himself back in his past life on Earth. A bullet comment drifted across the screen. Why don't you hire workers? Without lifting his head, Lin Feng answered. Apart from me, this planet is only home to bugs. Want the job? Room and board provided, no salary. Ha ha. Recruitment notice posted by the sole resident of an exile planet. Resume submitted. Are my bug colleagues easy to get along with? Within 10 minutes, screenshots of this exchange spread across the interstellar web. The search term, Lin Feng's job ad, climbed to the 18th spot on trending topics. Day 2. Assembling the greenhouse. The processing center ran at full capacity. Alloy plates were cut to size to make light, transmitting panels, which Lin Feng slotted one by one into the framework. Full, sensory immersion faithfully relayed every detail. Orange sparks flying off cutting metal, sharp clicks as panels locked into place. Warm, white glints of alloy catching sunlight. Viewers watched quietly as a greenhouse materialized out of nothing, and bullet comments slowed to a trickle. Someone wrote, watching him work is more gripping than romance variety shows. Lin Feng had no idea what romance variety shows were. Neither had he in his past life. Once the greenhouse frame stood complete, he fitted its internal environmental control system. Temperature, humidity sensors, circulating fans, and supplementary light arrays were set in place one after another. While calibrating sensitivity for the third set of sensors, a new system prompt popped up. Dormant ancient rice gene fragments detected in planetary soil. Unlock food crops, rice, entry in blueprint library, rice. In the interstellar era, rice, wheat, corn, all grains were long gone. All human food consisted of synthetic nutrition bars and nutrient fluids. He tapped confirm. The blueprint library refreshed, displaying a new entry alongside a quest. Main quest. Restore the taste of rice. Objective. Successfully plant and harvest the first rice crop. Reward. Unlock advanced modification functions. Lin Feng began planning where to situate his rice paddies. He recalled soil along the northern riverbank. Its thick clay layer was ideal. Its pH leaned mildly acidic, yet remained manageable. The only obstacle was diverting a water source. He needed to dig an irrigation channel 3 kilometers from the river valley. 3 kilometers. Pure manual labor. Fine. Lin Feng took only 1 second to accept reality. After all, the system marketplace stocked every tool he could possibly need. Days 3 and 4, finishing defensive installations and remodeling paddy fields proceeded in parallel. The day perimeter fencing was welded shut. A system notification announced the farm's security rating had risen to grade C. Lin Feng circled the site inspecting weld seams and muttered, "This will barely keep out petty trespassers." He pulled a wild earth ground chili pepper from his pocket and bit into it raw. Spice burned across his tongue. He squinted and drew a satisfied breath. Digging the channel was brutally tiring. A mechanical arm fitted with a shovel handled heavy-duty excavation. But fine-tuning gradients and compacting channel walls still required hands-on work. 3 days later, Lin Feng's skin was several shades darker, and calluses had formed across his palms. Still, the paddy fields were finished. Viewers tuning into his live stream had no clear idea exactly what he had been doing all this time. Day 5, sowing day. Lin Feng went live, making no advance announcement. Bare-footed, he stepped down into the flooded paddy. The moment full sensory immersion activated, 80 million concurrent viewers felt mud squeeze beneath their soles. Cool water lapping at their ankles, aching strain in their lower backs as they bent forward, and damp earth, tinged moisture hanging in the air. Lin Feng bent over. With his left hand he separated seedlings. With his right, he pushed the first young rice shoot into the mud. His movements were practiced. 1 shoot, 2 shoots, 3 shoots. Neat rows of tender green sprouts emerged above murky water, bringing long, absent hope to this desolate planet. Bullet comments vanished. 80 million people watched online, scrolling ground completely to a halt. Total silence lasted a full minute, nothing short of miraculous for a stream with hundreds of millions of viewers. Then one message appeared. I don't know what is happening to me. I feel like crying. Countless identical replies followed. Nobody could fully name the emotion. Through full sensory immersion, they had touched for the very first time something that had sustained humanity thousands of years ago. That primal, tangible reality of soil and seed. Imperial trending charts were completely dominated. He is growing food. Discussion volumes exceeded 1 trillion within half an hour. The official Ministry of Education account reposted stream screenshots with 3 simple characters, rice paddies. The top voted comment contained no written words, only an image. An illustration from Chapter 7 of the standard interstellar history textbook, titled Agriculture Before the Great Purge. It was a blurry photograph of ancient rice paddies. Its composition mirrored Lin Feng's livestream footage almost perfectly. Meanwhile, inside Lin Hao's study, an aide projected data onto the tabletop and spoke with obvious tremors. His follower count has surpassed 200 million. Rewatch rates hit 67%. User engagement outperforms every top 10 streamer across the empire. Lin Hao's chest heaved sharply. Can we shut down his broadcast? His communicator uses military-grade hardware. The interstellar web cannot ban an account with no rule violations, unless we physically sever his signal source. Do it at once. The aide nodded. Sweat soaked through his shirt by the time he stepped out of the room. 72 hours later. Late night. All was quiet across the farm. Only the low hum of perimeter defenses and distant river currents broke the silence. Lin Feng's communicator buzzed. An anonymous encrypted message appeared, untraceable in origin. It read in full. Something that should not be there now orbits above you. Lin Feng stared at the line. His thumb hovered over the screen for 10 seconds. He closed the communicator and walked toward the yard-based launch device. He typed fresh calculation parameters onto its interface. This time he would take aim. Lin Feng glanced toward the young seedlings in his paddies. Anyone who harms my fields will answer to me. The electromagnetic pulse fired with barely any commotion. The launcher shuddered faintly. An invisible beam of energy shot straight upward into the night sky and vanished beyond the atmosphere 3 seconds later. Lin Feng reviewed feedback on his panel. Target struck. Object disintegrated. Debris would burn up entering the atmosphere within 72 hours. He closed the interface, yawned, and headed indoors to sleep. The next morning, someone posted a screenshot online showing an arc captured simultaneously by 3 civilian meteorological satellites. Caption: someone setting off fireworks above the Exile planet? People treated it as light-hearted gossip, and the post never gained much traction. Deep within the Imperial military intranet, however, a classified report circulated across 3 departments. Its text was concise. Traces of an unregistered anti-satellite-grade electromagnetic weapon detected within Earth orbit. Source unknown. Inside Lin Hao's study the following afternoon. Destroyed. The aide nodded, striving to keep his tone steady. The jammer was eliminated before activation. Precise hit, 0 advance warning. Its orbital computation capability far exceeds what a private individual should possess. Lin Hao fell into a long silence. His knuckles whitened as he squeezed his teacup so hard he did not even notice. Where did he get an anti-satellite weapon? We cannot confirm. No such item appears on the Xinghe's supply manifest. We may have overlooked something. Lin Hao swept his arm violently. The teacup crashed to the floor and shattered. Scalding tea splashed onto the aide, who dared not flinch. For 12 consecutive days afterward, Linfeng only streamed greenhouse, grown vegetables. System, enhanced farmland accelerated crop growth. Tomatoes on his vines bore fruit. Chili plants ripened batch after batch. Cucumber vines climbed all over trellises. He even streamed himself preparing cold, mixed cucumbers. Full, sensory transmission conveyed crisp texture, triggering yet another surge in gifts. Viewers kept asking, "What about the rice? Have you forgotten your rice crop? It has been 10 days. Where's the progress? Where's our progress bar?" Linfeng bit into a tomato while facing the camera and replied casually, "Relax. You are not the one tending it." Bullet comments exploded. "I am anxious. I really am. Taxpayers deserve the truth. You may not have planted it, but I watched every seedling go into mud. Can I count myself as a spiritual stakeholder?" At audience request, he made a tour of the paddies. Rice shoots surged under the system, boosted ripening function. Beneath moonlight, plump grains shimmered pale, gold. He brushed his palm across panicles. Husks felt firm and substantial. Countless, wow, messages flooded the comment section. A system notification popped up. Main quest progress, 90%. Grains have reached harvest, ready maturity. Recommendation, wait 3 additional days for optimal flavor. Unusually, Linfeng offered no pushback. He sat down on the paddy ridge and listened to rustling grain stirred by night breezes. Very well. 3 more days. Good food is worth waiting for. Day 15. Linfeng went live. Stream title, 2 words only, rice harvest. 8 million concurrent viewers flooded in within 3 seconds. 10 seconds, over 100 million. 30 seconds, viewer numbers stabilized at 120 million. He said nothing, watching viewership soar, and stepped bare-footed back into the paddy. The instant full, sensory immersion activated, 120 million people felt warm mud press underfoot. Earthy dampness mixed with faint floral rice scent filled virtual nostrils. Sunlight washed over golden rippling grain fields, flooding vision with bright hues of ripeness. Linfeng bent forward. His left hand gathered a handful of stalks. A sickle sliced cleanly near the base. Shoo! Dry crisp sounds echoed as stalks severed. A heavy satisfying weight settled in his palm as he held the sheaf. Bullet, comment traffic overloaded servers outright, while technicians rushed emergency capacity expansion for 40 seconds. More than 100 million people watched in perfect silence as one man bent, cut rice, stood upright, and advanced across golden paddies, repeating the motion again and again. Shortly past noon, Linfeng finished harvesting. He returned to his hand-built wooden cabin. He poured harvested grain into a compact rice milling machine obtained from the system marketplace and pressed start. He narrated grain, threshing for his audience while the machine ran. The device hummed. Golden husks blew away in air currents and collected in a side trough. Bright, translucent white rice kernels poured from the outlet, plump and glossy. Full, sensory immersion carried the distinct mild, sweet fragrance of newly milled rice. Sunlight and soil condensed within tiny grains. Viewer gifts crashed the streaming system for a second time. Linfeng cupped rice in both hands and held it toward the camera. "Your ancestors ate this every single day. It is called rice. And now I will prepare an unforgettable dish." He set an iron pot over a wood-fired stove. He rinsed rice, added water, and lit firewood. No high-tech appliances, nothing but a simple wood stove. Water began to boil. Bubbles gurgled beneath the pot lid, steam seeping out along its rim. The olfactory senses of 130 million stream viewers registered the aroma. Rich, deep, warm, carrying natural sweet notes of fermented grain. It was like millennia, buried memories suddenly carried on steam and drawn deep into every viewer's lungs. Bullet, comment scrolling halted entirely. 130 million online users, 0 messages posted. Everyone was absorbed, breathing in that captivating scent. When he lifted the lid, thick white steam billowed toward the ceiling. Linfeng stirred gently with a wooden spoon. Rice grains stood separate yet soft, clumped, glowing softly under stove light. He filled a bowl for himself. Staring at familiar steamed rice, his own mouth watered. He lifted chopsticks and took a bite. Full, sensory immersion transmitted every sensation. Gentle resistance as teeth bit through grain husks. Soft, starchy texture spreading sweetness across the mouth when crushed, satisfying sensation sliding down the throat. And primal comfort spreading through the stomach as warm food filled it. Nutrient fluids could never replicate that kind of satisfaction. No human living in this era had ever experienced it. Livestream gift records smashed all-time interstellar web rankings. Imperial Capital City, Children's Hospital Psychiatric Ward. 3 anorexic children, after watching the broadcast, grabbed nurses' sleeves simultaneously and spoke the same line, "I am hungry." Imperial Palace, Anna Augustus's bedchamber. Full, sensory playback ran. The moment sensory signals of steamed rice reached her perception centers, the flawless composure Anna had maintained for 19 years crumbled. Her pupils dilated sharply. Her Adam's apple bobbed uncontrollably. Slender fingers clenched tight into silk bed sheets, and her whole body trembled. Grade psychic sensitivity amplified all sensations tenfold for her. The flavor defied simple praise such as delicious. Anna could bear it no longer. Instinctive, overwhelming hunger she had never known tormented her. Anna Augustus had gone 3 full days without eating. More precisely, 3 days without consuming any form of nutrient fluid. Red medical alerts triggered 6 times from the Royal Medical Corps. Each time, she suppressed monitor signals using her psychic power. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, attending physicians forced open her bedchamber door. They found the imperial princess leaning against a window, her face deathly pale, yet her gaze sharp as she studied a star-chart hologram. "Your Highness, your psychic power fluctuations exceed safe thresholds. Leave." The physician tried to protest, until Anna's psychic pressure washed outward, dropping the room's apparent temperature drastically. He fell silent. Upon withdrawing, he wrote 4 words on her medical file: olfactory, gustatory imprinting. Sensory memories of steamed rice had etched themselves permanently into her perception centers, like a key unlocking a door. Behind that door lay genuine hunger she had never once felt in 19 years. Nutrient fluids could never satisfy this hunger. Anna dismissed medical alerts and pulled up star charts. Earth. Exile planet designation D001. Imperial surveillance classification, grade D, the lowest possible. 3 orbital satellites. One had disintegrated 72 hours prior under unknown circumstances. No military patrols along flight paths. Surface defenses. She zoomed in on orbital scans of the farm, spotting the outline of a Thunder 3 turret. A civilian-grade defensive weapon, incapable of breaching shields on royal shuttles. Yet the unidentified anti-satellite-grade electromagnetic weapon remained an unknown variable. Anna reached a decision. She invoked royal privileges for mental wellness travel. Special permission granted by her father allowing her to select destinations when psychic fluctuations grew severe. Her official flight plan listed Neptune Wellness Satellite as destination. She personally altered flight parameters, setting Earth as true destination and activating full communication silence. Her chief guard attempted contact upon detecting anomalies, but her shuttle had already jumped into faster than light travel. Earth, evening. Lin Feng knelt among chilly plants, trimming stray branches. He had already ended today's stream, savoring rare quiet free of bullet comment chatter. His wristband vibrated. He glanced down. Red alert. Turrets had automatically locked onto a target. An unregistered craft entered orbit. Model identified. Royal Shuttle, Cygnus Series. Royal? Coming to arrest him? Unlikely. Arrests never deployed a single shuttle. Coming to eliminate him? Even less plausible. Assassinations would deploy fleets. This had to be a private venture. Lin Feng stood and brushed mud off his trousers, walking toward his control terminal. Launch systems went on standby. Real-time targeting parameters updated for the Thunder 3 turret. He opened public broadcast channels and transmitted a formal warning. You are entering restricted airspace without clearance. State your identity within 10 seconds, or you will be shot down. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. No reply came. 7, 6, 5. A communications channel connected abruptly. A cool female voice came through, tinged with faint unsteadiness. Do not fire. After a short pause she added, I have come for a meal. Lin Feng's mouth twitched. He glanced down at his bare muddy feet, then looked back at the Royal Shuttle label displayed on his panel. A thought crossed his mind. Trouble was most certainly on its way. Still, he deactivated turret locks, keeping launch systems on standby. Landing coordinates transmitted. Deviate even 1 meter from course, and I will happily test my weapon accuracy. Anna. Dusk had fallen completely when the shuttle touched down. Lin Feng stood on the paddy ridge, watching a kilometer away as the sleek craft's hatch slid open. A figure stepped outside. She wore plain and formal garments. No insignia, no attendants. Yet her bearing alone betrayed lofty status. A system prompt popped up. Grade Psychic, Power Life, Form approaching. Warning, Host combat capacity insufficient against S-grade psychics. Recommendation: maintain amicable relations. Lin Feng scowled. Is this lousy system trying to lecture me? The visitor drew nearer. Anna spotted the man standing on the ridge, bare-legged with trouser cuffs rolled above his knees. Garden shears held in one hand, mud smudged across one cheek. Mental images of the calm rice harvest figure from streams merged with what she saw before her, creating jarring dissonance. You look shorter than you did on stream. Lin Feng, standing 183 centimeters tall, being called short was the most absurd insult he had received since arriving on this planet. State your identity. A viewer. A viewer arriving aboard a royal shuttle? A wealthy viewer. Anna replied without hesitation. Lin Feng studied her intently. Very few people across the empire matched this description. Great psychic power, solo arrival aboard royal craft. He chose not to call her bluff. Exposing her identity would force him to take sides. Very well, Miss Viewer. I do not host tourists. You are free to leave whenever you wish. If you intend to stay, he never finished his sentence. When Anna walked past rosemary beds beside the greenhouse, she shuddered as though struck by static shock. Lin Feng watched her pupils lose focus and her body lurch forward. He tossed aside his shears and strode over to steady her arm. Anna felt icy cold all over. Her psychic powers resonated with delta factors within mutated local flora. For ordinary humans, those energies brought gentle relaxation. For grade psychics, it was like a tsunami crashing through her mind. Cracks formed in mental blockages built over 19 years. Sharp pain receded abruptly, leaving her brain blank. Seconds later, she regained awareness and seized Lin Feng's wrist tightly. What is this? Her voice shook, eyes glistening. Why has my headache vanished? Frowning, Lin Feng pulled out a handheld scanner and swept it over Anna. Readings for her baseline psychic threshold exceeded instrument limits, yet fluctuation frequencies visibly stabilized. Severe long-term overload. Inside the wooden cabin, Lin Feng poured a cup of compound psychic support beverage and handed it over. Anna sniffed once and drank it all without hesitation. She even dipped a finger to collect and swallow every final drop left inside the cup. Lin Feng mentally labeled her, definitely someone obsessed with good food. I wish to stay, Anna said, setting down her cup and meeting his gaze directly. No, why not? Your shuttle belongs to the royal household. You wield grade psychic power. Every second you spend here draws danger toward me. Lin Feng leaned against the stove, speaking evenly. I only want to farm in peace. Anna made no demands invoking her status and pleaded no case. I will pay compensation. Name any price you see fit. Lin Feng fell silent. He stared at the pale face before him, at the exhaustion hidden beneath her eyes that fought to stay calm. He then thought of the mental power overload data the system had detected. He mused inwardly. Fine. I'll let her stay for a few days out of pity. It's definitely not because she's good looking. System. I have 3 conditions. Anna sat bolt upright at once. First, none of the information here may be leaked. Second, while you live here, you follow my arrangements. Third, he gestured toward the greenhouse outside the window. You work for me. Anna blinked. Work? You've got 2 working hands and feet. An S-rank psychic can at least lift things. I'm badly short of labor around here. Anna Augustus, Imperial Princess, S-rank psychic, stared with a complicated expression at the cucumber trellises and tomato rows outside. I accept. But Anna hesitated, too embarrassed to finish her sentence. Lin Feng read what she wanted right away. Wait here, he said, and walked off. That evening, steam curled upward from white rice simmering on the stove inside the wooden house. Tomato and egg stir, fry, cold tossed cucumber, and chili dipping sauce sat alongside the rice on the wooden table, making 3 dishes in total. Anna sat at the table, hands folded in her lap. For the very first time, real food lay right in front of her. Lin Feng held out a pair of chopsticks. Eat. Anna hesitated and picked up a piece of tomato egg. Tears rolled down her cheeks the instant the food touched her tongue. She chewed, crying non-stop, shoveling bite after bite without pause. Lin Feng said nothing. He turned and filled another bowl of rice for her. After dinner, Anna leaned back against her chair. She had eaten 2.5 bowls of rice, and every scrap from all 3 plates was gone. Her psychic fluctuations had steadied, and her complexion looked noticeably rosier than it had half an hour earlier. A system notification popped up. Side quest activated. Heal the Wanderer. Deliver a complete therapeutic diet plan for the S-rank psychic patient. Reward. Advanced Seed Encyclopedia, unlocked. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes at the words, Advanced Seed Encyclopedia. He glanced over at Anna, who sat lost in thought. Pure luck. That night, Anna moved into the tool shed beside the greenhouse. It was plain but spotlessly clean, and she voiced no complaints at all. Psychic particles drifting off mutated greenhouse plants washed over her senses. For the first time in years, she grew drowsy without any sleep aid medication. Before closing her eyes, she still savored the taste of that meal. Meanwhile, inside the Imperial Palace, the aide stared at the blank location signal, his face deathly pale. The princess's shuttle had maintained total communication silence for 6 hours. He hesitated over whether he ought to report it. Anna was woken by a rooster's crow. More precisely, a hen had hopped onto the tool sill window, stuck its head inside, and crowed 3 times straight right behind her head. The moment her eyes flew open, her psychic power flared instinctively. The hen was thrown backward half a meter by an invisible force, flapping its wings as it hit the ground. Anna sat upright and stared blankly at the cracked ceiling above. Data flickered across her wristband. Psychic overload index, 67.3%. Yesterday's reading had been 75.8%, a drop of 11%. Even with the Empire's top-tier psychic suppression devices from the Royal Medical Corps, their best single-day reduction had only ever hit 1.2%. Anna threw off her blanket and slipped her feet into the pair of rubber boots 3 sizes too big that she had worn the day before. Lin Feng had already been busy in the greenhouse for half an hour. When Anna pushed open the tool shed door, she saw him squatting beside the chicken coop hammering together a lopsided wooden nesting box. The same hen that had woken her circled around him, behaving in an ingratiating manner. This hen was one of the wild fowls Lin Feng had tamed, and reliably laid 1 egg for him each day. Come here. Without lifting his head, Lin Feng tossed her a pair of work gloves, which she caught automatically. Today you pick cucumbers. Twist them off with their stems intact. Do not snap them short. Put everything in the basket by the greenhouse entrance. Anna looked down at her hands. Her fingernails were neatly trimmed. No calluses marred her fingertips. 19 years of royal skincare had kept them that way, and right now they felt terribly out of place. She pulled on the gloves with a blank expression and walked toward the greenhouse. Lin Feng watched her retreating back, more obedient than I expected. At 10 o'clock in the morning, the live stream went live. Lin Feng's topic for the day was roasted sweet potatoes. 3 days prior, the system had unlocked a honey, sweet potato cultivar boasting an impressive 34% sugar content. Top-tier stats he had never seen even back in his original world. He squatted beside the fire pit, dug out a fist-sized sweet potato from the hot soil, and held it up for the camera. Look at this skin, cracking slightly. That means sugar has oozed out. This is perfect for charcoal roasting. At that moment, a figure in plain casual clothes walked quickly past the right side of the frame, carrying a full basket of cucumbers on her way from the greenhouse. It lasted less than 2 seconds. Lin Feng kept talking about sweet potatoes. Viewers in the bullet chat caught the fleeting silhouette and raised questions. Yet their comments were quickly buried under discussions of roasted sweet potatoes. Then Anna appeared a second time. Unable to locate the tap, she circled 3 meters in front of the camera and bent sideways to turn on an outdoor water faucet. Her side profile stayed in view for several seconds. Bullet chat exploded instantly. Is that Princess Anna? Oh my god, am I hallucinating? Facial match at 97.6%. It really is the Imperial Princess. This is insane. The Imperial Princess working on a penal colony farm? Lin Feng registered the flood of comments out of the corner of his eye yet remained utterly calm. He had already guessed long ago. Rank psychic power, a royal shuttle, an extraordinary identity. Anna Augustus, Imperial Princess, satisfied every clue. On screen, he calmly buried the sweet potatoes back into the glowing charcoal and brushed dirt off his palms. Roasting sweet potatoes takes roughly 40 minutes. There's no rushing it. Everyone grab a drink and relax. The bullet chat descended into total frenzy. Look at the chat, streamer. Is that really the princess? Answer us. Live. Viewer count just hit 150 million. What on earth? He ignored every message. His deliberate refusal to acknowledge the commotion only drove stream popularity higher. Within 10 minutes, live viewer numbers surged past 200 million. Anna glanced upward from inside the greenhouse and spotted the live stream camera pointed toward the farm. Her pupils constricted. She hurried over to Lin Feng, a trace of irritation in her voice. Why didn't you tell me you were streaming? Lin Feng stirred the charcoal without looking up. Last night you agreed to follow my arrangements. I assigned you cucumber picking. I never told you had to hide from cameras. Anna could find no counter-argument. Her cheeks flushed bright with frustration. Logically he was correct, yet it still made her want to lash out. Lin Feng glanced at her, pried one fully roasted sweet potato free from the embers, and held it out. Don't be mad. Try this. Anna turned her head away, refusing to take it. Suit yourself. Lin Feng pretended to pull his hand back. Afraid he would take it away, Anna instantly snatched the sweet potato. Fortunately, she still wore work gloves. Otherwise, the scalding heat would have burned her badly. She split it open. Golden flesh oozed amber, colored syrup, and a rich aroma flooded her nose. She blew on it and took a tentative bite. Dash. Her taste buds, unfulfilled for 19 years, were overwhelmed. Her mind blanked briefly, and her legs buckled beneath her weight. She sank down onto the ground. It's so good, she mumbled, chewing happily. Bullet, chap boiled over. Is she crying? Show us her full face. What must it feel like for food to make your legs give out? Lin Feng looked down at the imperial princess squatting on dirt devouring roasted sweet potatoes, sighed, and offered his first direct remark responding to chat. She's my temporary worker. Board included, no pay. Don't overthink things. Inside the imperial palace, the aide knelt trembling outside the imperial study, sweat beading on his forehead, holding a projection board displaying screenshots taken off the galactic web. The emperor set down his writing brush and stared at the screenshot. His youngest daughter, dressed in simple clothes, squatted on muddy ground clutching a smoking, unidentifiable food item, wearing an expression he had never once seen on her face. Can we still receive her psychic fluctuation readings? The aide answered in a shaking voice. Shuttle biometric telemetry shows her psychic overload index keeps dropping. Over 3 days it has fallen from 82% down to 67%. Silence stretched long inside the imperial study. Do not disturb her. The emperor picked his brush back up. For the time being, let her remain there. The aide stared in surprise, but dared not ask further questions. He bowed and withdrew. At the main Lin family estate, Lin Hao stared at the projected stream screenshots, his fists clenched tight. The imperial princess is staying with him? Wonderful. Simply wonderful. He shut down the projection and opened an encrypted communications channel. Evening came. Anna had worked hard all day, blisters forming on her palms. Still she voiced zero complaints, quietly wrapping her injuries with psychic power to dull the pain. Lin Feng caught sight of her fingers tightening inward out of the corner of his eye, but said nothing. At dinner time, a tube of healing gel sat beside Anna's plate. She glanced from the gel over toward Lin Feng's back as he stirred food over the stove. She unscrewed the cap and spread the gel over her hands, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. Dinner was sweet, potato-mixed rice paired with tangy, spicy shredded potatoes. Halfway through the meal, Anna set down her chopsticks. Why aren't you afraid of me? Lin Feng chewed his food and made a vague sound. I am an S-rank psychic. My father is the emperor. Anna looked straight at him. Every second I spend here could bring ruin down upon you. You acknowledged that risk on my very first day, yet you still let me stay. Lin Feng swallowed his mouthful of rice and thought for a moment. Because you were hungry. Anna froze mid-gesture. When someone is hungry, they ought to eat. He picked his chopsticks back up. That's just common sense. Anna lowered her head. Strands of hair fell forward, hiding most of her face. Her bowl trembled faintly in her hands. Lin Feng looked away and concentrated on finishing the last of the shredded potatoes on his plate. A quiet system notification appeared. Side quest, Heal the Wanderer. Progress 19%. Notice, host, target affection has reached the trust stage. At 5:30 the next morning, Lin Feng woke Anna. If you are not outside in 5 minutes, you get no breakfast. Anna appeared in less than 2 minutes. Behind the greenhouse lay a stretch of newly cleared fallow ground Lin Feng had prepared a few days earlier. Dark damp soil glistened through the morning mist. Lin Feng tossed her a hand-operated seed drill. Today we plant wheat. Anna caught it and turned it over in her hands, thoroughly confused. What is this? She could not make sense of its structure. Seeing her bewilderment, Lin Feng patiently explained. The front opens furrows, seeds drop through the middle section, and the rear covers soil over them. I will demonstrate in a moment. Anna nodded, pulled on her gloves, and followed him toward the fields holding the seed drill. Lin Feng completed one demonstration pass. Dig straight furrows, 3-finger depth, leave one hand, span between seeds. After covering soil, tamp it gently with the side of your foot. His movements were neat and efficient. Understood. Anna nodded obediently. She learned quickly. An S-rank psychic's physical coordination far surpassed ordinary humans. The problem lay in strength control. On her very first pass pushing the drill, psychic power leaked out unintentionally. Soil clumps ahead of the drill tip were crushed into fine powder, and the planting furrow collapsed into a shallow hollow. Lin Feng glanced back. Hold your power back. These seeds are not target practice material. Anna bit her lower lip. She tried again, deliberately sealing off her psychic channels and relying purely on shoulder and core muscle strength to push the seed drill forward. Without psychic assistance, her body, unused to hard physical labor, soon protested. Before finishing her third furrow, her forearms burned with fatigue, and blisters inside her gloves throbbed sharply. Bullet. Chat scrolled across the livestream. Poor Princess Anna. What a poor princess. Go princess. You're doing amazing. Lin Feng is practically making the princess do hard labor. Anna saw those messages but did not indulge in self-pity. She kept working. Sweat dripped from her forehead down to her chin and fell onto freshly turned earth. Dark, damp patches spread across the back of her plain shirt, where perspiration clung to her shoulder blades. By noon, Lin Feng called for a break. Anna set down her tool and squatted on the ridge, catching her breath. She looked down at 6 neat rows of planting furrows she had finished, evenly spaced and consistently deep. This was the very first thing in her 19-year life she had accomplished relying only on her own muscle and sweat. When will they sprout? Lin Feng handed her a water canteen. 3 days. Anna took a long drink. Water trickled down the corners of her mouth. That fast? Lin Feng did not answer. He had heavily improved this farmland. The wheat would ripen in half a month. Anna stared at those orderly furrows as if gazing at an impending miracle. Lin Feng shifted his gaze away and said nothing. He turned toward the camera to show viewers the newly sown field, talking about winter, wheat growth cycles and soil moisture management. Bullet. Chat flooded with repeated messages. Where is the princess? Show us Anna. We came to watch her, not wheat farming. Lin Feng stubbornly kept Anna out of camera view, letting the audience stew in curiosity. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Lin Feng performed his routine perimeter security sweep. An orange moving heat signature appeared on his system map. Shoulder height 2 meters, estimated weight above 160 kilograms. It was approaching the farm from the edge of the northern woods. Lin Feng grew instantly alert. He pulled up his defense panel. His electromagnetic weapon was still cooling down after the earlier engagement against Anna's shuttle, and the anti-air turrets could not engage ground-based threats. He walked over to the tool shed and picked up a broad, bladed alloy shovel with a 1.2-meter handle, originally meant for turning soil, now a handy makeshift weapon. Toward dusk, Anna watered tomato plants inside the greenhouse. Deep, low thuds rumbled through the ground, like something huge pounding the earth while running at high speed. Farm security alarms blared. Anna dropped her hose and rushed outside. She watched a massive brown, gray creature smash straight through the northern perimeter fence. Lin Feng. She had never seen such a beast and called out loudly. The creature stood over 2 meters at the shoulder, with curling protruding tusks and plates of shell, like hardened skin covering its body. After breaking the fence, it did not stop. It charged forward and knocked over 2 full rows of tomato trellises. The hen in the chicken coop squawked in fright, beating its wings frantically. Lin Feng sprinted in from the side. Don't panic. That's a mutated wild boar. He swung the alloy shovel hard, striking the boar squarely on its shoulder blade. Clang. The huge beast slid sideways half a meter, yet it did not fall, barely slowing at all. It spun around and charged straight for Lin Feng. He dodged sideways, bracing the shovel handle across his body to block. When its tusks slammed into the shaft, Lin Feng was forced sliding backward 3 or 4 meters, his boots gouging 2 deep tracks in the mud. Lin Feng exhaled, facing the furious boar shaking its head. This mutated boar is unbelievably tough. Anna ran over from the greenhouse, her feet bare against the gravel-strewn dirt. Don't blast it with raw psychic power. Lin Feng shouted. You are still suffering from overload. Unleashing full force attacks will trigger severe psychic backlash. Anna halted in her tracks, but she quickly made her choice. Instead of launching an offensive psychic blast, she spread her power flat across the ground 3 meters ahead of the boar's path, forming an invisible defensive barrier. The charging boar slammed head first into the barrier. 260 kilograms of force crashed against her psychic shield. Anna staggered backward, nearly losing her balance. The boar's momentum jammed its tusks fast inside the barrier. It scrabbled furiously with its front hooves, yet could not advance an inch. That split second was all Lin Feng needed. He charged forward, lifting his shovel high and striking hard down onto the thin seam of armored skin along the back of the boar's neck. Slash dash. The 200+ kilogram mutated boar crashed heavily to the ground, kicking up clouds of dust. Its limbs twitched a few times, and then fell completely still. Anna lifted her psychic barrier, drained, fine beads of sweat rolling down her forehead. Lin Feng leaned on his shovel handle and glanced toward her. Good work. Next time remember to put on shoes before rushing out. Anna glanced down and noticed her bare feet, standing amid gravel and mud. Greenhouse dirt smudged across her toes. She pulled her feet behind herself, consciously, the tips of her ears flushing pink. Lin Feng stared happily down at the dead boar lying on the ground. Braised pork was on the menu. Ha 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 ha. The boar weighed far too heavy to carry whole, so Lin Feng butchered it right there on site, bleeding it, skinning, quartering, removing bones. Every cut was precise and clean, slicing meat neatly. Anna squatted 3 meters away and watched. At first she frowned involuntarily, then could not tear her eyes away. Have you killed many creatures like this before? Pigs are nothing. Lin Feng kept slicing pork belly as he replied. One summer vacation back home, I slaughtered 20 chickens. Anna fell silent for several seconds. You are strange. Tending crops you are gentle, yet when hunting animals your expression never shifts. Lin Feng tossed cut pork, belly pieces into a basin. That is practicality. While fighting the mutated wild boar, Lin Feng paid no attention to the live stream comments. The live stream chat had already gone wild. No one had ever seen a mutated wild boar before. Who would have thought there'd be such a terrifying monster on the Exile planet? Yeah, it looks just like a pig. How can it compare to my pet fluffy pig? That creature is absolutely hideous. Exactly. But the streamer is so cool. Her Royal Highness is amazing too. The streamer is so gross. He gutted that beast. Ugh, this scene is so gory. Lin Feng tilted the camera away, avoiding the butchering scene. It was an evening broadcast, the first time Lin Feng had streamed this late. He held up the wild boar meat for the camera. Today I'm going to make a new dish for you all. He set an iron pot over a wood-fired stove and heated it up. The pork belly went into cold water to blanch. He skimmed off the foam, then fished the meat out and cut it into mahjong tile-sized chunks. He cleaned the pot, rendered fat trimmed from the wild boar to make a thin layer of cooking oil, and turned to low heat. He dropped the meat chunks into the pot. Sizzle, Lin Feng stirred vigorously. The wooden spatula clanged sharply against the pot bottom. He tossed in 2 star anise pods, plus fresh cinnamon bark and bay leaves he had gathered. Spices tumbled into the pot. Rich aromas burst forth. Full, sensory streaming technology delivered the strong meat and spice fragrance straight to every viewer on the other side of the screen. Within 15 minutes, the live stream view count surpassed 100 million. Comments flooded in like a broken dam. Suddenly my nutrient paste looks utterly unappetizing. Is anyone from the Imperial Food Safety Bureau here? This man is mass poisoning people. Can someone explain what this even is? My salivary glands are going crazy. Why does this smell make me want to cry? I'm not even eating it. Gift counters kept jumping higher. Lin Feng remained perfectly calm. He turned the heat high to bring it to a boil, then simmered over low heat for 40 minutes. 15 minutes before lifting the lid, he added wild honey and tomatoes. They compensated for the flatness caused by the lack of salt. Spices boosted the overall flavor, reducing reliance on salt. This also drove home just how desperately short of salt he was. Finally, he turned up the heat to reduce the sauce. The broth thickened, clinging glossy and shiny to every piece of meat. Each chunk of pork belly jiggled slightly, gelatinous texture practically oozing through the screen. Lin Feng ladled the meat into a bowl. He packed steamed white rice firmly onto a plate and flipped it over. Braised pork was arranged beside the rice, and he drizzled sauce all around the rice mound. He called out off camera, "Come and eat." Anna stepped into frame and sat down right by the stove. Lin Feng pushed the bowl toward her. Eat. Anna had been salivating non-stop while the meat simmered. She picked up a piece of pork belly with her chopsticks. The moment it touched her mouth, she froze, too reluctant to chew or swallow. Fat melted on her tongue, honey, sweet grease coating every corner of her mouth. The lean meat was tender. Its fibers fell apart at the lightest pressure, brimming with savory meat juice. Base notes of star anise and cinnamon rose in the aftertaste, tying every flavor together. The bright sweet, sour hint of tomato cut through any heaviness. Anna closed her eyes, completely enchanted. Alternating bites of meat and rice, she mixed sauce into every grain. With each mouthful her tense features softened more and more. The chat could no longer be described as simply blowing up. Watching her eat makes me feel life is still worth living. I could watch Her Royal Highness eat forever. Imperial Princess eating wild boar on an exile planet. My brain cannot process this amount of information. I really wish I could taste this for real. Saliva is streaming down my face. Anna finished one bowl and pushed her empty bowl toward Lin Feng. He served her another bowl of rice and poured 2 extra spoonfuls of sauce over it. Anna picked it up and kept eating. Her cheeks bulged, sauce smudged at the corners of her mouth, completely abandoning all formal manners. Lin Feng looked calmly at the camera. As you can all see, at this rate 100 kilograms of pork won't last a full week. Anna shot him a glare, mouth still full of food. I don't eat that much. Even as she spoke, she picked up another piece of meat. Viewers in chat were utterly tormented by hunger. How I envy the princess's days. Streamer, I want to come work for you. Me too. Count me in. Me as well. The stream ended. Before going to bed that night, data refreshed on Anna's wristband. Mental overload index, 58.2%. It had dropped yet again. Anna firmly believed Lin Feng's cooking had saved her. Inside Lin Feng's room, a system notification popped up silently. Side quest, Heal the Wanderer. Progress 37%. Interim finding. A combination of high-intensity physical labor, fresh food intake, and proper mental stress release accelerates mental overload reduction. Preliminary dietary therapy blueprint recorded. Staring at the 37% progress bar, Lin Feng did quick mental calculations. At this pace, he would finish the quest in roughly 10 days. The advanced seed compendium was well within reach. Late at night, Anna lay on the narrow bed inside the utility shed, her stomach warm and comfortable. She pulled up the mental stress fluctuation graph from her wristband for the day. The curve showed a slow decline during planting, a brief spike during combat, then a sharp drop right after dinner. A perfect stress reduction curve. The Empire's top-tier medical teams, state-of-the-art mental suppression devices, thousands upon thousands of revised treatment plans. None worked half so well as a hoe, an iron cooking pot, and a man farming the land. Anna turned off her wristband and rolled over. She buried her face in her pillow and mumbled a quiet sentence no one would ever hear. Then she closed her eyes. Soft light filtered in from the greenhouse window. Plant-emitted mental energy factors swelled and ebbed like gentle tides. She fell asleep in 3 seconds flat. Early morning inside the greenhouse. Fully ripened tomatoes hung heavy on the vines, plump and glossy. Anna was still fast asleep. Lin Feng did not wake her today. She had fought hard against the wild boar the previous day and deserved proper rest. Lin Feng had somewhere to go. The night before he had studied his system map and spotted a set of coordinates near the farm. Distance, 47 kilometers. Resource type, mineral deposit. Note, natural salt lake. Purity untested. The braised pork had tasted wonderful, yet it lacked the satisfying kick salt brought to food. Without salt, every meal was merely passable. Lin Feng began gathering supplies. He took his alloy shovel for empty sealed buckets, filtering cloth, and components for a simple distiller obtained from the system shop. He stacked everything neatly in the rear cargo bed of the farm transport vehicle. Just as he prepared to leave, footsteps sounded behind him. Anna stood in the doorway wrapped in one of Lin Feng's jackets, her hair messy, clearly having just woken up. Where are you going? Out to take care of something. Lin Feng did not turn around, securing his final cask of fresh water. You stay home today. Do not touch the turret control panel. I'm not a child. There are leftover braised pork from last night. Heated up at noon. You know how to light the stove, right? Anna gave no reply. Lin Feng climbed into the driver's seat and started the vehicle. The engine hummed. Wheels rolled over parched earth heading northwest. Lin Feng jostled along in the transport vehicle for nearly an hour. Soil gradually gave way to gray-white alkali flats. A sulfurious tang hung in the air mixed with a briny, fish-like reek. Only cracked white salt crust covered the ground. Shrubs outside the window grew sparser and sparser until not even dry grass remained. An ecological warning popped up in the corner of his system map. Signs of medium-sized mutated creature activity detected in this zone. Proceed with heightened caution. Lin Feng glanced at it, but did not slow down. 30 kilometers out from the farm, the transport vehicle suddenly sank. Scrape dash, the chassis dragged against the ground. Wheels spun freely, flinging muddy slurry everywhere. Lin Feng shut off the engine and climbed out. Beneath the brittle top salt crust lay soft, yielding mud. He circled to the rear. The back wheels were stuck deep. Terrible roads. He grabbed his shovel and dug for 10 minutes, pried loose several flat alkali rock slabs to wedge under the tires, then gunned the engine to force the vehicle free. Gray-white mud caked his trouser legs, but he paid it no mind. He kept driving forward. Soon the salt lake came into view. The whole landscape looked as though covered in snow. On closer look it was coarse salt crystals layered thick along the shore, in places reaching halfway up one's calves. The lake itself was not large, roughly the size of 2 football fields. Its water appeared milky white, depths hidden from sight. Lin Feng knelt down, dipped a finger in surface salt grains, and tasted them. TCH. Briny and bitterly acrid. He quickly spat and wiped his hand. Nothing is ever that simple. Eating it raw would definitely cause severe diarrhea. Potassium chloride content was likely high. Large quantities could trigger irregular heart rhythms. Refining was mandatory. Fortunately, he remembered salt refining procedures from his past life, and he already possessed the necessary tools bought from the system shop. Lin Feng unloaded his equipment onto flat alkali ground and built a temporary stove. He laid out iron pots, filter cloth, and distillation vessels in a neat row. First, he shoveled surface coarse salt into a pot, added lake water, and brought it to a boil to create saturated brine. Some tens of millions of viewers had drifted into the live stream without notice. Chat messages scrolled past. He's boiling white powder out in the wilderness. Should we alert the authorities? Is the streamer making poison? Sorcerer phone. This must be some kind of dark magic ritual. Any chemistry experts able to explain what he is doing? Lin Feng ignored them. He dissolved plant ash in water and slowly poured it into the brine while stirring. Gray-white flocculent sediment immediately precipitated, capturing calcium and magnesium ions. Good thing I read widely, he muttered to himself. Never thought I would actually put this knowledge to practical use out in the wild. Satisfied, he stopped stirring and let the brine settle. He filtered out solid residue using cloth. Clear salt water flowed into a second pot. Finally, he simmered over low heat to evaporate water and form salt crystals. Crystallization took time. Lin Feng leaned against his transport vehicle and ate cucumbers he had grown. His gaze drifted casually toward the lake center. Watercolor there looked strange. Milky white near shore, deepening further out, turning pale violet right at the center. A question mark hovered over that spot on his system map, unknown substance. Further investigation required. Lin Feng frowned. His current gear and stamina ruled out risky trips out toward mid-lake, but he marked the location in his memory. Halfway through evaporating his second batch of brine, the alkali ground trembled beneath his feet. It was no illusion. Another tremor followed shortly, low frequency, as though something massive was moving nearby. Instantly alert, Lin Feng grabbed his alloy shovel and stood, scanning his surroundings. 300 meters away across the alkali flats, a gray-brown creature crawled slowly toward the salt lake. It was as big as a fully grown water buffalo, for short, thick limbs, its back covered in pitted, uneven scales. It resembled an enormous lizard, clearly another mutant, just like the wild boar. The beast had not spotted Lin Feng. Its hide was extremely tough. His alloy shovel could kill it, yet the fight would leave him badly hurt. Injured, 40-odd kilometers separated him from the farm with no backup. It was not worth the risk. He glanced toward his boiling brine pots. Roughly 10 more minutes, and he would harvest his first batch of crystals. Lin Feng made his decision without hesitation. He picked up a pot of half-concentrated waste brine, circled downwind to a pile of alkali boulders, and poured the whole pot over them. Powerful briny odors spread rapidly. Done, he grabbed his shovel and gear, retreated to a natural hollow upwind, and peeked out. The mutated lizard had caught the salt scent. It changed direction, crawled straight to the boulders, and began licking greedily with its broad tongue. After 10 minutes of licking, its forelegs buckled. It collapsed onto the alkali flat, eyes half-lidded, slipping into a digestive torpor. Lin Feng waited 3 minutes to confirm it would not stir, then returned to his evaporation setup. Crystals formed from his first batch. Fine, uniform white grains. He pinched a small amount and tasted. Good. No bitter or sulfurious aftertaste. Throughout the afternoon, he repeated crystallization 3 times, harvesting 8 kilograms of refined salt in total. He filled 2 sealed buckets right to the top, more than enough for a long time. He stowed all equipment aboard the vehicle, glanced once more at the dormant lizard in the distance, then started the transport vehicle and headed home. Dusk fell. The sky above the farm glowed orange-gold. Anna sat on the steps outside the greenhouse lost in thought. Hearing the engine, she looked up and watched Lin Feng's vehicle race toward her from the west. Once inside the farm compound, Lin Feng parked and jumped down. Alkali mud on his trouser legs had dried into white crusts. Anna's eyes locked onto sealed buckets in the cargo bed. What is that? A faint smile tugged at Lin Feng's lips. He lifted one bucket, walked over, and unscrewed the lid. White crystals glinted bright under sunset light. Anna did not recognize it. Salt, Lin Feng said. Anna stared for 2 full seconds. You spent an entire day out, just for this? Lin Feng offered no answer and carried the bucket toward the kitchen. Wait until you taste tonight's meal, and you will understand how precious this is. Night came. Lin Feng picked 4 tomatoes inside the greenhouse and retrieved 3 eggs laid by mutated hens. He heated oil in his pan, scrambled the eggs, and set them aside. He sniffed appreciatively. Nothing beats cooking with lard. Next, he chopped tomatoes, sautéed them until juice flowed freely, then tipped the eggs back in and stirred everything together. He picked up a small bowl, scooped half a spoonful of salt, and sprinkled it into the pan. Sizzle. Every flavor seemed to ignite all at once. Full sensory streaming transmitted the aroma outward. Chat inside the live stream detonated completely. Wait, what is this? This smell? Completely different from before. Something just switched on inside my brain. My nasal passages are screaming. What white powder did he just add? Tomato and egg stir-fry finished cooking. Lin Feng plated the dish. Bright red tomatoes and golden scrambled eggs sat beside steaming white rice, thin sauce still gently bubbling. He pushed the plate toward Anna, signaling her to try it. Anna took a bite of egg with her chopsticks. This mouthful was breathtaking. All previous meals, rice, sweet potatoes, braised pork, dishes she had thought represented absolute peak flavor, were now utterly outshone. That white powder pulled every distinct flavor apart. Tomato acidity stood clear, egg savoriness no longer blurred and indistinct. Salt wove all notes together, making flavors complete, multi-layered, and well-defined. She swallowed, set down chopsticks, and looked straight at Lin Feng. All those meals you made before, you cooked them without this substance. Lin Feng hummed an acknowledgement and shoveled a mouthful of rice. Anna fell silent. She picked her bowl back up, mixed every last drop of tomato sauce into rice, and ate until nothing remained. She was practically ready to lick the plate clean. Chat went completely haywire. So those amazing previous dishes were made without that white powder? I want to rewatch old streams knowing they were incomplete versions. What else is this man hiding? I'm crying. That night Lin Feng ended his stream and returned to his room. His system panel quietly popped up. Anna Augustus Mental Overload Index, 52.7%. Single-day drop of 5.5%, the largest decrease since her arrival. Analysis. Trace mineral elements and salt work synergistically with mental energy factors. Dietary therapy effectiveness rating upgraded, B.A-. Side quest, Heal the Wanderer. Progress, 45%. Lin Feng looked at the data with deep satisfaction. Time slipped by. Half a month had passed since Anna arrived on this world. One morning Lin Feng squatted examining wheat ears. Grains were plump and golden. System readouts listed protein content at 18.7%, gluten quality perfect for hand-pulled noodles. Anna walked over carrying empty baskets, gloves already on her hands. She glanced at wheat ears before Lin Feng. Are we harvesting this today? Yes. Has our wheat ripened this fast? Anna asked curiously. Lin Feng smiled faintly. Indeed. Anna was brimming with anticipation, eager to work. Without unnecessary words, they fell into a smooth, well-practiced rhythm. One cut wheat stalks, the other carried filled baskets. As Anna straightened lifting a heavy basket of wheat ears, her wristband vibrated. She glanced down. Mental Overload Index, 44.2%. She looked toward Lin Feng's back and smiled softly. Back in the imperial capital, her index had almost always stayed above 80%. Life on this planet made her feel genuinely at ease. Anna set the basket onto the cart and drew a deep breath. The air smelled of soil, grass, and sun-warmed plants. No harsh disinfectant odor, no cold metal from mental suppression pods. This was the life she truly wanted. At that moment, Lin Feng's wristband buzzed. A trending topic notification popped up. Bright bold red headline read, "Breaking news. Exile convict Lin Feng uses unknown gene-contaminated food to control Imperial Princess. Suspected mental coercion." Lin Feng frowned and scrolled further. The keyword gene collapse syndrome had rocketed straight to #1 trending within 1 hour. Attached was a screenshot from the live stream showing Anna eating sweet potatoes, edited with dramatic purple rippling special effects, captioned, "Proof of mental manipulation." Comment sections overflowed. Lin Feng must die. The princess has been brainwashed. Stellar Life Group statement. These foods contain unknown gene-altering contaminants. The Empire must intervene immediately. Lin Feng held up the screen for Anna to see. She scanned the content, her expression shifting instantly. What is this? No guessing required. Lin Hao of the Lin family is behind this. Lin Feng slipped his wristband away, tone sharp. Stellar Life Group is working with them, so rumors spread extremely quickly. He turned back to cutting wheat. Anna stood still. Is that all you have to say? What else should I do? Burst into tears. Without looking up, his sickle sliced cleanly through wheat stalks. Let's finish harvesting first. We still need to mill flour at noon. Anna. But when did you offend the Stellar Life Group? Lin Feng kept working. Stellar Life is the largest nutrient-paced conglomerate. Imagine what would happen if food I cultivated spread across the whole galaxy. Anna understood instantly. Lin Feng represented a massive threat to their interests. Inside the Imperial Council Emergency Assembly Hall, a joint proposal submitted by 3 senators projected onto central holographic displays. It was invoking public health safety protocols to order the 7th Imperial Fleet blockade of planetary orbit, arrest Lin Feng, and rescue Her Royal Highness Princess Anna. First round of voting, motion passed. Formal enforcement commences in 72 hours. When the presiding senator adjourned the session, the Stellar Life Group representative seated in the public gallery wore a subtle, triumphant smile. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Lin Feng's livestream view count stood at only 41 million. 3 days prior it had exceeded 200 million. Comments scrolled fast, mostly accusations and abuse. Is gene contamination real? Manipulative creep controlling the princess. Get off the galactic network. Ban him. Ban him. Gift donations had also plummeted sharply. Lin Feng watched the flood of hostile comments with calm eyes. His inner thought was plain. Gene contamination? I grow wheat and rice, ordinary food, not bioweapons. Have all these people eaten so much nutrient paste their thought processes have become one track? He did not shout back at raging viewers. Instead, he slowly panned his camera toward a chopping board beside the stove. Upon it sat freshly kneaded dough. Milled that morning from newly harvested wheat, it had rested 40 minutes, surface smooth as silk. Lin Feng rolled up his sleeves. Insults still filled chat, yet many viewers instinctively focused on his movements. He lifted the dough and slammed it hard against the board. Thwack! A crisp sound heard by 40 million simultaneous viewers. Then he kneaded, folded, stretched, and slammed repeatedly. With every fold, gluten strands strengthened. His movements held no flashy flourishes, only pinpoint precision and brute strength. 20 minutes later, the lump of dough had transformed into strands of noodles. Thin as silk hairs, distinct and separate. They draped between his fingers like a miniature waterfall. The flood of hostile comments in the live stream visibly thinned out. Every viewer stared transfixed at Lin Feng's work, mesmerized by his unconventional cooking method. The stove fire blazed hot, water roiling vigorously in the pot. Lin Feng shook the noodles loose and dropped them into the boiling water. In a second pot, bone stock had simmered on low heat all morning, thick and milky white. The pork bones came from the mutated wild boar they'd hunted, the beast supplying ample meat for the pair over the past half-month. Anna's physical condition had visibly improved since her arrival on Earth. Lin Feng's mind drifted momentarily to Anna's healthier frame, before he quickly shook his head to banish the stray thought. Quit wandering off, he muttered to himself, refocusing as he fetched chopped green onions fried golden in hot oil. 3 minutes passed. The noodles were strained into a bowl, topped with rich bone broth and garnished with the fragrant fried scallions. Lin Feng carried the bowl over to the camera lens. He lifted a chopstickful of noodles and ate. Full sensory synchronization activated instantly. 40 million minds received the sensory feed simultaneously. The springy bite of the noodles registered against their teeth, the umami of the broth spread across their tongues, and the roasted aroma of scallion oil flooded their nasal cavities. Viewers typing froze with their hands suspended above input panels. Insults died unspoken in their throats as their mouths flooded with saliva and their stomachs churned with primal hunger. Their bodies sent an undeniable signal to their brains. This was no poison, but the finest delicacy they had ever missed out on. Live viewership began climbing steadily, and the sentiment in the chat flipped entirely. Wait, this flavor. Lin Feng spoke directly to the camera. If you genuinely believe this causes genetic contamination, you are being utterly foolish. Stellar Life Group, come out and explain. What exactly is the garbage nutrient paste we've consumed for 30 years? Viewership surged back to 200 million. Lin Feng drained the last drop of broth from his bowl and set down his chopsticks. He patted his stomach with a quiet murmur. That hits the spot. He then picked up a second bowl of noodles and held it out toward the edge of the frame. A hand marked with old blister scars reached out to take it. Anna stepped into the camera's view and sat across from him. She lifted the bowl, took a mouthful of noodles, and savored the taste. An exiled convict and an imperial princess, eating noodles face to face. No official statement or defensive speech could carry greater persuasive power. Live viewership broke 250 million. The comments section spiraled into total chaos. If this is some form of manipulation, feel free to manipulate me too. Right now I only have one question. How do I get to Earth? Headquarters of Stellar Life Group. The vice president stared at the real, time data panel, and slammed his water cup across the desk in a fit of rage. Shut down his live stream at once. The technical director wore a grim expression. His broadcast runs on the Star Network's underlying core protocols. Only the central governing console can terminate the feed. Then order the central console to shut it down. We've already submitted the request to the neutral imperial authority that oversees the console, and it was rejected. Their official ruling states the stream contains no violating content. Silence fell over the conference room until an encrypted communication channel lit up. Lin Hao's voice filtered through the speakers, sharp with restrained urgency. Remain calm. Public opinion is fought on more than one battlefield. He sent over a new template for public discourse. The document was titled, Taste Addiction Mechanisms in S. Ranks Psychic Users. Why influence subjects insist their compliance is voluntary. A cold smirk tugged at the vice president's lips after reading the file. It was a viciously clever tactic. The more Lin Feng claimed he controlled no one, the more the public would be told he was suffering from severe delusion. Nightfall. Anna sat curled up in the corner of the greenhouse, her knees drawn to her chest. Data flickered faintly on her wristband. Her mental overload index dipped slightly from 44.2% to 44%. Lin Feng walked over and set a glass of honey-sweetened tomato juice beside her. She took the drink and sipped slowly, falling into a long stretch of silence. They were right about me, she said quietly. Lin Feng raised an eyebrow. I truly have grown fond of this food. Anna lifted her head, eyes glistening faintly. Your cooking is incomparably good, and I've formed an undeniable reliance on these meals. Lin Feng studied her calmly. What would you like for tomorrow's meal? Anna blinked in surprise before a soft laugh escaped her. Scrambled eggs with tomatoes. Consider it done. Go get some rest. Lin Feng turned to head toward his quarters when a system notification materialized soundlessly before his eyes. Emergency mission activated. Counterattack. Mission objective. Have official authorities refute the genetic contamination accusation. Before the Imperial fleet arrives, 54 hours remaining. Reward. Orbital, grade defense system upgrade. Failure penalty. Permanent lockdown of the agricultural farm. Lin Feng paused mid-step. An orbital defense system. Instead of returning to his room, he walked over to the cucumber vines in the greenhouse. Dozens of fresh cucumbers, still topped with blooms and lined with tiny prickles, hung heavy amid lush green foliage. Thriving vigorously, he plucked 10 cucumbers and arranged them neatly inside a thermostatic transport case, picking several ripe tomatoes as well. Once finished, he input a string of encrypted frequencies into his wristband. The communication connected almost instantly, projecting a hologram of Li Xinghe's weary face. Boss Lin, you're now the Empire's most wanted fugitive. Li Xinghe leaned back against a leather office chair, tapping his fingers against the tabletop. The Lin clan partnered with Stellar Life Group to corner you completely. Once the genetic contamination charge is formally validated, even my influence cannot intervene openly. Lin Feng pulled over a rattan chair and sat down. Cut the formalities. I possess a batch of crops capable of repairing genetic damage caused by decades of nutrient-paste consumption. Li Xinghe's tapping fingers froze abruptly on his desk surface. What did you just say? Precisely what you heard. Lin Feng rolled the thermostatic case into view for the camera. I need you to commission the Empire's most authoritative third-party research institute to issue an official lab report within 24 hours. If you deliver on this, Xinghe Group gains exclusive priority purchasing rights for all premium farm produce moving forward. Li Xinghe's breathing grew heavier as he recalled the profound, soothing effect of the mint tea Lin Feng had given him previously. Boss Lin, are you certain there is no exaggeration in this claim? If the test results come back negative, there are no what-ifs. Lin Feng cut him off evenly. Are you willing to take this gamble? Li Xinghe locked eyes with Lin Feng's unwavering expression on the hologram screen. Several seconds passed before he shot abruptly to his feet. I accept the deal. My transport shuttle will enter Earth orbit in 15 hours. Do not go back on your word. The transmission terminated. Lin Feng plucked another cucumber from the vine, gripped both ends firmly, and snapped it clean in half. A crisp cracking sound echoed through the greenhouse, releasing a rich, refreshing aroma that filled every corner of the enclosed space. In the far corner, Anna, who had been lost in thought, jerked her head upward at the scent. She slipped on her slippers and hurried over, gaze fixed firmly on the broken cucumber in Lin Feng's hands, swallowing visibly. Want some? Anna nodded obediently. Lin Feng handed her the cucumber half in his right hand. She bit into it without wiping its skin first. Crisp, sweet juice burst across her tongue the moment her teeth sank into the flesh. The tension coiled in her shoulders melted away entirely, her whole body relaxing as if submerged in warm water. "It's wonderful," she mumbled around mouthfuls, polishing off the cucumber half in a few quick bites. Lin Feng paid her no mind as he carried the sealed thermostatic case to the ejection pod outside the greenhouse. Launch. A blast of compressed air propelled the container outward in a streak of light toward outer space. Early the next morning, as Lin Feng went live once more, swarms of paid trolls flooded his stream immediately. Lin Feng deserves death. He is a plague upon the star system. Lin Feng ignored every hostile comment, busy preparing the scrambled eggs with tomatoes he had promised Anna the previous night. Anna had received a confidential message from the Imperial royal household at dawn. Her father commanded her to return to the Imperial capital without delay. She frowned at the order and chose not to share this news with Lin Feng. Hours ticked by. The farm's radar picked up an unmarked miniature shuttle hovering in geosynchronous Earth orbit. Coated in military-grade stealth plating, the craft was invisible to standard scanning equipment. Out in orbit, mechanical arms extended from the shuttle, retrieved the thermostatic case, and ignited its sapphire blue thrusters. Before vanishing via space jump. At the exact moment the shuttle executed its jump, a deep space probe deployed by Lin Hao tens of thousands of kilometers from Earth sent out a faint alert signal. Imperial capital planet, Lin Clan Manor. Lin Hao stared at the garbled code flashing across his monitor, his brows drawn tight into a scowl. "Sir, the probe detected a spatial disturbance near Earth's orbit, but the signal was far too brief to trace the source," the technician reported nervously. Lin Hao let out a cold snort. "Pay it no mind. A cornered bug cannot stir up any meaningful trouble." He checked the countdown timer on his screen. 30 hours remained until the Imperial fleet reached Earth. Open the live feed. I want every citizen of the Empire to watch as this stain on the Lin name is erased completely. Moments later, a pin-top broadcast appeared across the entire Star network with a stark headline. 30-hour countdown. Eliminate the Imperial Scourge. Purify the star system. Lin Hao sat before the camera alongside 4 white-coated so-called genetic science experts. Citizens of the Empire, Lin Hao addressed the audience formally. Joint research by numerous specialists from Stellar Life Group has confirmed that Earth-grown vegetation contains lethal neurotoxins. Long-term consumption leads to irreversible genetic contamination. A bald expert beside him picked up his cue instantly. Precisely. Environmental data extracted from Lin Feng's live broadcasts proves these foods erode human cranial nerve barriers and create severe physiological dependency. Princess Anna has had her rationality seized by these toxic substances. The comments section erupted in outrage. "I feel disgusted I ever sent him gifts. Bomb that worthless farm into rubble immediately. This is an act against humanity. Master Lin Hao upholds justice for the clan. We stand with the Lin Corporation." Lin Feng stood in his farm courtyard, scrolling through the vicious deluge of abuse on his optical device, and let out a yawn. He turned toward the kitchen and scooped rice for 2 bowls from the grain storage jar. "Anna, wash your hands. We're having stir-fried cucumber with pork for lunch today." Imperial capital planet, top landing pad of Xinghe Group headquarters. The stealth shuttle had barely touched down and opened its bay doors when Li Xinghe bolted forward with armed bodyguards hot on his heels. He snatched the secured thermostatic case fastened to a passenger seat and spun around to leave at once. "Sir, the Imperial Parliament just issued an official summons demanding we disclose the shuttle's mission." The group's vice president chased after him, sweating profusely from panic. Li Xinghe never slowed his pace. "Tell them to wait. Prepare the ground vehicle. We're heading straight for the Imperial Academy of Sciences." 30 minutes later, multiple levitating vehicles screeched to a halt before a massive pure, white research complex. Li Xinghe clutched the case, brushed past station guards, and forced his way into the Academy's restricted core research zone with his security detail. A sealed laboratory door stood shut at the end of the corridor. Bang! Li Xinghe kicked the door clean off its locking mechanism. "Get out of my lab. I told everyone not to interrupt my research." A disheveled Professor Murphy whirled around, tweezers raised in one hand. Face twisted with fury, Li Xinghe wasted no words, marching to the lab workstation and pressing the release switch for the thermostatic case. The container lid popped open, and its potent natural fragrance flooded the entire laboratory in an instant. Murphy's angry retort died in his throat. The portable environmental detector hanging around his neck blared a shrill alarm, its screen flashing solid warning red. "Ultra, high-activity bioactive factors. This should not be possible." Murphy tossed his tweezers aside and lunged toward the case. hands trembling as he stared at the vibrant green cucumbers inside. What species is this? Great purification flora? No. The factor activity levels are unprecedented. He grabbed one cucumber and sprinted toward a multi-billion credit genetic mapping analyzer deep within the lab. Li Xinghe, where did you get this miraculous material? Murphy shouted while frantically operating the control panel. Earth. Li Xinghe leaned against the workbench and exhaled deeply. Grown by Lin Feng. He claims these plants repair inherited genetic defects. Murphy paid him no heed, his gaze glued to the flood of data scrolling across the analyzer display. Time ticked onward. 20 hours were left on the fleet arrival countdown. Ding. A crisp chime signaled the completion of the analysis. Murphy pressed his face nearly against the display glass as he scanned the results, his breathing growing increasingly erratic before he burst into wild, elated laughter. Flawless. Absolute biological perfection. He spun around abruptly, grabbing Li Xinghe by the shoulders and shaking him violently. There is zero contamination, not a trace. These plants synthesize a perfect genetic lock repair enzyme, capable of mending fractured genetic chains formed after centuries of nutrient-paced reliance. This is life-saving medicine for our entire civilization. Li Xinghe's heavy anxiety lifted entirely, his shirt soaked through with nervous sweat. His gamble had paid off. Release the official report immediately. The Lin clan is spreading misinformation across the Star Network, claiming these crops carry neurotoxins. Foolish pseudo-scientists. Murphy roared in anger. I will draft a formal research paper and fling these verified data straight in their faces. He rushed back to his workstation, his fingers a blur across the virtual keyboard. Meanwhile, in a monitoring room outside the laboratory complex, a lab assistant in a white coat watched the spiking energy draw from the high-end analyzer and dialed a private communication channel in secret. Young Master, Professor Murphy has activated the Academy's top-tier genetic analyzer, and Li Xinghe has entered his private lab. Lin Hao let out a cold chuckle on the other end of the line. Trying to stage a comeback? Physically sever the lab's network connection at once. Minutes later, Murphy's virtual screens cut to black mid-typing. Network connection lost. He froze for 2 heartbeats before unleashing a thunderous roar of rage. Who did this? Which bastard cut my network feed? He rushed to the lab door only to find the electronic locks fully engaged and sealed shut. 10 hours remaining. On the Star Network live stream, Lin Hao watched the real-time positional markers of his approaching fleet, unable to mask his triumphant grin for the audience. Citizens, the fleet of justice is en route. In 10 hours, we will wipe this disgraceful wasteland off the face of Earth entirely. Back inside the locked laboratory, Murphy trembled with unbridled fury. He seized a high molecular wrench from a nearby workbench and slammed it repeatedly against the bulletproof glass covering the backup control console. Bang, bang, bang. The glass shattered completely. Blood streamed down his palms as he reached for a large red physical emergency lever and jammed it fully downward. Only the highest-ranked academicians of the Imperial Academy held this privilege, the once-per-decade emergency full-spectrum Star Network broadcast clearance, capable of overriding every firewall to transmit content across the entirety of Imperial star space. 2 hours remaining. Lin Hao's live broadcast boasted a viewership exceeding 3 billion users, all waiting to witness Earth's annihilation. For the glory of the Empire, for pure, uncorrupted genetics. Lin Hao raised a wine glass toward the camera with a cold smile. Just as he brought the glass to his lips to drink in celebration, every optical device, personal wristband, and public holographic billboard across the entire star system stuttered and froze simultaneously. Lin Hao's live feed was forcibly terminated. The next instant, a 30,000-word research paper materialized unilaterally across every screen, pinned front and center in bold, oversized font. A study on genetic defect remediation via pre-grade purification botanical specimens. Cucumber sample case analysis. Beneath the paper rested a gleaming golden embossed seal, the highest official accreditation mark of the Imperial Academy of Sciences. Right after the document loaded, Murphy's disheveled, furious holographic projection appeared on every display screen in the Empire. I do not care who is pulling the strings behind this sabotage. Listen to me clearly once and for all. Murphy's voice boomed through every terminal across star space, loud and unyielding. The crops cultivated by Lin Feng contain no contamination whatsoever. Far from being toxic, their inherent genetic repair enzyme offers a definitive cure for the hereditary genetic deterioration plaguing humanity after centuries of nutrient-paced consumption. Anyone who moves to harm a single plant on Earth will be branded a traitor to the entire human race. Total silence blanketed the Star Network for a full 60 seconds. Not a single comment appeared in the chat streams. Not a sound registered across public broadcasts. Then the entire Star Network erupted in uproar. Holy hell, the Academy of Sciences officially validated this data. This can't possibly be fabricated. Genetic lock repair? Does that mean we can finally stop suffering from periodic psychic overload episodes? Lin Hao claimed these plants were neurotoxic. Was he blatantly lying to all of us? The Lin clan tried to destroy humanity's greatest hope. Launch a full investigation into the Lin consortium at once. Public opinion completed a seismic 180-degree reversal within mere seconds. The false charge of genetic contamination against Lin Feng was reduced to nothing more than a ridiculous, malicious conspiracy. Inside the Lin clan manor on the imperial capital planet, Lin Hao's wine glass slipped from his grasp and smashed against the floor with a sharp clatter. He stared blankly at Murphy's enraged hologram. His face drained of all color as cold dread washed over his entire body. This cannot be happening. This is impossible. He scrambled frantically toward his communications panel and opened an urgent channel to the fleet commander. Fire. Open fire at once. Wipe that farm off the map right this second. No waiting for the countdown. The fleet commander stared coldly at him across the holographic display. Master Lin Hao, watch your tone. The Supreme Imperial Military Command has issued an absolute order designating Earth a special Imperial Protected Zone. The commander severed the communication without further ado. Back on Earth at the farm, Lin Feng sat sipping tea in his courtyard. A crisp mechanical voice echoed inside his mind. Emergency mission. Counterattack from the brink. Completed. Mission rating. Perfect. Public opinion has been fully reversed. Rewards granted. Orbital tier defense system upgrade. Automatic deployment finished. Lin Feng set down his teacup and pulled up his system interface. 12 coordinates glowing with dim blue light had appeared on the farm's holographic terrain map. He glanced upward toward the sky. Though invisible to the naked eye, he knew full well those main cannons were already charging up. Do they think I'm just some harmless old farmer tending crops, now that I've held back my strength? Lin Feng let out a cold huff and slammed his finger down on the activate button on the interface. Out in Earth's outer orbit, shrill alarm sirens suddenly blared throughout the flagship bridge of the Imperial fleet, which had already begun preparing to retreat. Alert! Massive high-energy signature detected. We're locked onto by radar. I repeat, the entire fleet has been targeted. 12 thick, deep blue particle beams shot skyward from Earth's surface without the slightest warning, piercing through the atmosphere. Each beam halted precisely less than 10 meters from the hull plating of every capital ship in the fleet. A tiny further advance would instantly melt through the Empire's most advanced warships. An unencrypted audio feed abruptly cut into the fleet's public communications channel. Lin Feng's voice sounded calm and laid back, yet carried a bone-chilling coldness that sent shivers down every listener's spine. This is private farmland. Trespassers will be executed. Viewers across the galactic network watched the stark standoff unfold through the military's live broadcast feed. A disgraced exile had pointed 12 unaccounted-for orbital particle cannons straight at the entire Imperial fleet's throats. Admiration bordered on fanaticism flooded the live stream. The comment section filled with nothing but strings of exclamation marks. Deep within the Imperial Palace, the Emperor sat upon his lofty throne, staring silently at the 12 pale blue light pillars projected on the hologram for a long stretch of time. What a man this Lin Feng is, and what a place Earth is. He tapped his fingers against the armrest of his throne before turning to his head steward. Assemble a top-tier diplomatic delegation immediately. They are to depart for Earth within 3 days. Give him whatever he demands, even half the Empire if necessary. Secure his allegiance at all costs. Also, how fares Princess Anna over there? The steward bowed low. Your Majesty, Her Royal Highness appears to be working farm labor. The Emperor's eye twitched in exasperation. Instruct the delegation to bring that troublesome girl back alongside their official business. An imperial princess has no business slogging away digging soil in the fields. Meanwhile, on the farm grounds of Earth, Anna stood ankle-deep in the flooded paddy field. Her face smudged with mud as she gripped a hoe and called out toward Lin Feng in the yard. Lin Feng, what are we having for dinner? Can I get an extra chicken drumstick once I finish plowing this plot? A knowing smile tugged at the corners of Lin Feng's mouth. Consider it done.